Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
Very thankful for the 12th man. They've won us games.
These other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
Our skill set worked great together. Like, he was more speed and I was more power, and then we put together, it was like thunder and lightning, you know.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Oh, but you know, at TexAgs, we kind of make fun of each other. That's what we do, right?
Yeah. I know it very well.
Yeah, we do it well. Typically, it's, you know, Billy. I don't think you make fun of a lot of people. You respond, but you don't like. I don't think you're proactive with the making fun. Maybe sometimes.
The people I make fun of are the ones I'm closest to.
Yeah, your buddies, your pals. The reason I bring that up is I'm listening to that intro, and I'm shocked that nobody has made fun of a lot of the things, not even the listeners and the viewers, like Olin Buchanan. The way I say it like a robot, or I want to talk sports with you, Ags.
Well, I just appreciate you remembering me, because obviously the people that put the original one together forgot that I'm even part of the show. So that was the right. That's the.
It was an accident.
That was the back pedal.
Yeah. Well, not by me.
No, not by you.
I made sure that they knew. But that being said, you know, I hear some of the things like, you know, like we start restating. Yeah, man, 50-50 fall. Got to come down with it. Like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What does Billy say? Welcome to TexAgs.
Welcome to TexAgs.
Like Willy Wonka or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, just nobody's made fun of that, and I thought I'd do a preemptive strike so I can take it away, because one day it's coming. There are some lines in that intro that we can make fun of.
To me, is it still on there? The funniest one, though, because this is radio.
We have a bunch of different ones.
Is the one that says, you know, everyone knows who you are now, but if you're only listening to radio, you have no idea who it is.
Yeah. A thing move, by the way. Mo, I should say. But anyway, hey, it's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. I bet you knew the year. I bet you knew that.
Yeah, I did. I even knew the day.
So, you know, we've got some friends across the street that are keeping us abreast of some of the changes that are expected in college sports, right? You know, and we've talked about it on this show before. And then Josh Pate recently, I was made aware of his whole revenue sharing take, and not even take, just what he's hearing. And it's kind of in alignment with what we've heard. So I kind of wanted to go through a little bit of that and some of the new details that have emerged out there. Some of it I think we've discussed or alluded to. Some of it I think is kind of new, but he thinks it's going to happen soon.
Mm-hmm.
And by soon, could it be at the end of this year that we have some framework? I hope so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was as early as next year.
Yeah, 18 to 36 months is how I've kind of been thinking, but I think that might be a little bit slow for some of the way the reporting is coming out of it. So the plan is to govern the sport differently, govern sports differently, collegiately, right? And a lot of this comes from the House versus NCAA class action lawsuit, and there's a lot of legal jargon in that I'm not going to get into, but basically they're suing the NCAA, and the hopes is for athletes to get retroactively paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I find that just mind-boggling. Like, let's go back to 1981, and Billy, here's your $5,000 check, whatever it may be. That's going to be in the billions of dollars to do, and it's going to, you know.
Well, first of all, I think you have to look back and say, how far back does it go?
Right. And
then you set, I would think, your pay out, if you have to, based on what the economy, what the value of the dollar was then.
Right.
Because, you know, if I'm getting paid for what I did in 1995, should I be getting paid by the wage rate of 2024?
Right. Well, 100%. But this is why I think the player's side, right, or the lawsuit side, is hoping that there's a settlement, right? So on the Power 5 side, let's just use them as the barometer here. They want to settle before, right?
Right. To
lower that number as much as possible, come up with a framework. Hopefully Congress does help them.
And when they're talking to Congress, I wonder when they start saying, hey, but let's talk about what they did receive. You received a free education. You received free this. So, I mean.
But you know what happens, OB, right? It becomes a movement. And then if you're against it, if you have opinions, like you're against players, and which is not the reality, right? It's I think the media firestorm. Look, there's a reason people in the 1800s looked at life differently than we do. They came up with and there's a reason my dad, who was born in 1930, looks at life differently than I do.
You mean correctly, the way he looks at it. You've told me about your dad.
Yeah,
he's a smart man.
He is a smart man.
There's so many questions I have about how this is going to work out. You know, you're going to pay. Who are you going to pay?
Well, can I ask you this question? And I know it may seem like a dumb one. So if we start treating college athletes as employees, do we start treating high school athletes as employees? Eventually, is that why?
No, but the high schools don't make the money that. Now, if you get into the playoffs and have a nice run, your program can turn a profit.
Profit.
Only certain ones, though.
Right. But if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten or even some of the other ones, you're turning a profit because of the product you put on the field, the players that you bring in. And then, to me, the players are what's the word I'm looking for here? The players are, to me, A&M is why I watch A&M athletes. It's the institution. It's the program. It's the history. Mm-hmm. And that history gives Johnny Manziel the platform to be bigger than life.
Right. Because, for instance, there's never been a bigger star than Johnny Manziel, but we didn't stop watching Texas A&M after Johnny left. And that's why I always laugh when players say, we are the game. You're not the game. You're the guy playing the game for a short period of time. The game endures beyond the players. The players change. The game doesn't.
Right.
I mean, they change rules, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, what the hope is from all this, to get back to the original point, to have a revenue-sharing model, mm-hmm. Right? So they retroactively pay these athletes from the past.
But who gets paid?
That's where they're going to have to settle. We're going to go back to 1980.
If you go back to 1980, who gets paid since 1980?
Does that mean every sport? Does that mean just football? Does that mean the revenue generating sports? A lot of questions to be answered there.
Because the revenue, if it's
the badminton champion from 1980 does not deserve.
Is Title IX going to be where you have to pay the women the same amount even though they make no money? See, I always feel like what you should do is, and I've been on that spiel about how Mark Emmert made all this chaos possible, and he's going to be the guy that's most responsible for if everything goes away. But I've always said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come up with a percentage that we're going to pay out to the players based on how much money their sport generated.
Yeah.
And everybody gets the same percentage. So if you're a football player and your sport generated $100 million, the players are going to share a percentage of that. Basketball player, if you generated $10 million, the women's basketball player at Connecticut, your team probably generated $20 million, maybe more than the million, or South Carolina.
Right.
So you're gonna get a higher percentage payout or a higher payout than the men because you brought in more. But I think I know the answer. The should is the answer. No. I think it's yes. Will those those women's players, and not, but I say women because Title IX doesn't apply to the guys like Eric Casares, who's on scholarship and he competes hard for Texas A&M, but he's in a non-revenue producing sport, right? So no one's going to beat the drum for him because it's not Title IX. But is Eric Casares going to get a piece of this payout that's coming? Because, hey, he performed for Texas A&M, but they didn't make money. Well, if that's the case, is the girl woman cross country runner going to get money from?
Those are all interesting questions, but I think what the goal is, if the players do say, all right, look, we'll do this settlement, and then the hope is for Congress to help them put some antitrust laws out there to put these guardrails that the NCAA did not know how to put when they should have, right? And then in the future, have these athletes as employees, which means the portal, I believe, is minimized because there will be some kind of contract or some kind of employee benefit. I don't know how they'll do it, to where, yeah, you can transfer, but maybe after 2 years or whatever they end up doing.
And we can limit where you can transfer.
100%. Yep.
Well, SEC's already doing that to a certain degree right now.
Right now, right. And then I read something from Ross Dellinger that bowl game opt-outs could soon be a thing of the past because Nick Caparelli, I'm going to say it like that. I think it sounds better. He is the bowl season director. He told Ross Dellinger that he expects NIL to soon come in-house for athletes to sign binding compensation contracts with schools that will require them to play in bowl games and CFP games, eliminating or greatly reducing the opt-outs.
Maybe greatly reducing.
It's not going to get rid of it.
Because some guys are going to say, yeah, look, okay, I will not take that, what I'm owed on my deal.
I'm going to make $10 million in the NFL.
Because I'm going to prepare for the NFL for a bigger paycheck.
It says here that it would essentially make the athletes' employees required to fulfill obligations as part of their employment agreement, like in many other positions.
You know what? All you got to do is come up with a sore hamstring.
Oh yeah, which we've been seeing for years. Yeah.
Gosh, you might even warm up before the game, and then go in. You might be in full uniform, working out, warming up for the game, and then go into the locker room and decide, nope, I got a sore health. I mean,
I have heartburn.
Something like that couldn't happen, right? I mean, it could happen here, even maybe in Oxford.
I'm going to read a little bit from what Dellinger had in his tweet. It had a screenshot of part of the article he wrote. I had a meeting recently with Charlie Baker, and we discussed that on a national level. What needs to happen is for everybody, collectives need to be brought in-house, and universities need to manage it. I think that will come with, we'll see some agreements, but much like any other employment agreements with athletes and universities compensating them, whether it's employee or employer relationship or inducement contractors, when we see these binding agreements with student athletes, you're going to see student athletes that are required to play in 12 regular season games and the bowl game and the CFP as part of their compensation, not unlike how the real world works.
Yeah, and I get that. All I'm just saying is your NIL deal null and void if you get hurt?
Right.
And who can tell? Man, my back hurts. They say, it's hard to find what's wrong with your back.
Yep. Well, what I think is interesting, too, is this is not going to eliminate the under-the-table hush money. Of course
not.
It's still going to be there.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be tampering. There's still going to be some kind of movement. It'll just, you're going to have to wait.
As long as people want more money, there's always going to be hey, everybody's going to get paid $50,000. Great. Hey, but I know you're getting $50,000, but, you come here and we'll make sure you get an extra $30,000 under the table.
All right.
I mean, that's what's always happened in college football and college sports. It's going to continue.
Yeah, there's a couple text messages coming in on that topic. So what we'll do, we'll get to those here in a moment. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us or you can text us. 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150 is the phone number to reach us. This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee and get yourself a batch of that TexAgs coffee. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where we find Eric Casares. Eric, good morning, buddy.
Yep, good morning, and beat the hell out of coffee and beat the hell out of finals. It's that time of the year. So good luck to everybody taking finals. Lock in and let's get it going.
Are you done?
I'm done. Yep, I'm done. I turned in my last assignment last Sunday, and then I had my last exam last Friday. And this was all while I was gone on the road, too. So just typical travel.
Eric is close to the real world. Mm-hmm. Very, very close. We've been having some conversations about what he should do.
Yeah, David's been really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's over. It's he's done.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to become like a professional like pickleball player or something. Maybe that'll work out better for me. I don't think radio is quite my thing.
I've never played pickleball.
I haven't either, but there's some cool places that where were we? We were in Phoenix for my daughter's tournament, and there's like a pickleball, like kind of like a Big Shots for pickleball. It was awesome. I didn't go to it, but I saw it. Like there was bar, there was people having fun. It was classy. I forget the name of it. Some pickle thing, but it was like they should bring that to College Station.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have it. I like pickles. There probably is a place here in town where you can get pickleball. I know you can get pickles.
You can rent them. You can rent like the courts out for a couple hours. Pretty cool.
Are the courts just like a tennis court?
Yeah, they're just like smaller, a little bit more small. Yeah.
Let's go back to the pickles thing. It's not good.
It's
not a good.
I like pickles. I got to tell you, I like pickles.
There's nothing.
A lot of people like pickles.
I know they do. My wife is one of them. It ruins whatever food it touches.
No, I think it enhances.
It ruins the burger.
No, it enhances.
It has that little green, like even I'm gonna take it off. Ruined.
No, it enhances the burger. To each his own.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eric. What do you got?
Yeah, well, first on the topic that we were just talking about, there's some text messages people are talking about, and they're saying, so Trey in College Station, first of all, said, Title IX applied to scholarship opportunities. How does it apply to employment? Genuinely asking because I don't know.
I don't think we know.
I don't even know.
That's what I'm saying. But
to me, a scholarship is payment.
Yeah, I've always thought that, in my opinion, the scholarship and all that comes with it should be sufficient for the school, but the NCAA should have never told athletes they can't make money on their own name, image, and likeness.
But then...
And they used to tell them they couldn't even have a job.
You couldn't even have a job, yeah.
Which was ridiculous. And then they said, you can have a job, and then the quarterback at South Florida got a job as a bartender. And no, you can't get a job where you get tips. How many rules... Again, the NCAA has never won a lawsuit. And so that I know of. And so I think they finally figured it out, and that's why they're trying to come up with a settlement now.
Let's just settle and just, But I do worry. I worry about other sports.
Yeah, I do too. But I'm just saying that I suspect, and I don't know, but I suspect if they come up with this idea and football players and basketball players are going to be paid out X amount of dollars, there's going to be a Title IX lawyer step up and say, now, wait a minute. You can't give these men this without giving these women this. They're
right.
Like, well, yeah, but they don't. Their sports, don't generate the revenue that these. It doesn't matter.
But what about the players? Top player on your team, a guy who does generate revenue, and the walk-on who doesn't play.
Yeah, it's right. Well, the walk-on, because you're not on scholarship, they probably won't share. You probably have to be a scholarship player.
Yeah. Eric, what else you got for us, buddy?
Yeah, let's get into some news. Texas A&M softball ace Emily Kennedy has been named a top 26 finalist for the USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year. She's been regarded as one of the best pitchers in the country right now, ranking 3rd in the country in shutouts, 8th in completed games, has registered 20 wins. That's the 12th most in the nation. She's also the first Aggie pitcher since 2016 to do that as well. 165 strikeouts, that's the 25th most. 78 of those have came in SEC play, ties the program record. 5 saves, that's number 20 in the SEC. And she has earned 3 weekly honors this season, including D1 Softball National Pitcher of the Week in March and SEC Pitcher of the Week back-to-back in February. So really good for her. And then Aggies will close out the regular season in a 3-game set at number 9 Florida beginning Friday at 6 p.m.
Awesome. Good stuff there. Let's do this. Let's hit a break. Sutton in College Station wants to come on the show. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with him. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can call in or you can text, as I told you, 979-693-1150. If you're looking for a reason to come back to Aggieland, I got one for you. Well, it's great to live here. Brian and College Station and the surrounding areas. It's such a cool place to live. And if you're trying to get here and you need a job, you need to reach out to the Association of Former Students because they're looking to hire great people for their organization. They want professionals, guys. They got openings in fundraising, former student programs, marketing, you name it. Just look around. You'll find some stuff that'll fit your desires out there. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization in support of A&M through that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to Here. Don't miss an opportunity to help out the association with some cool events. The Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values: excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It's the Association of Former Students. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Olin Buchanan, David Nuño here, breaking it down. Before I go to the phone lines, going to give you a little bit of an update of what we have on the program today. O.B. Schloss coming on the show, 9 a.m., with our partner Richard Zane helping out for that interview. Right after that, Brian Kortan. They're getting ready for the tournament. You've got A.T. after that. We've got Richmond Webb, who should be a Hall of Famer, on the show.
Absolutely should be.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
It really is.
It's
it makes
stupid.
No sense. Stupid.
It's freaking stupid. We got Steve Denton coming on the program, men's tennis coach. We've got the fan show guys. I'm sorry about that. But Royce Hickman is coming and Roy May, so it'll be a good show.
Yeah.
Love those dudes. All right, let's go to the hotline. We are joined by Sutton in College Station, who wants to talk a little bit about this House lawsuit. Sutton, welcome to TexAgs.
Howdy, guys. Two things that stick out to me in Ross Dillinger's and Pete Thamel's reporting. One is the timeline. Ross is saying that this has to be settled, if there is a settlement, by the end of the month, being May. And I think one of the keys of this settlement is going to be the leadership of Sankey and the Big Ten, both of those two guys leading the charge. And I will not be surprised if we see some schools or some conferences, participating in the settlement and some schools not. Because and the other point is they're talking about $20 to $25 million cap per school. And then that school would be able to distribute, and that's per year, distribute out to whatever athletic teams that they deem. So a school like Duke would give more money to the basketball players. A school like Texas A&M would be heavy in baseball as well as football. And so I think what's going to be interesting is those two things happening. What's interesting is the $20 to $25 million cap. Some schools obviously don't even have a budget of $20 to $25 million in their whole athletic program, so that's impossible for them to participate. That's just a cap. So schools like University of Texas, A&M, Alabama, those schools would go to the cap, and then you would have smaller schools like a Rutgers or Boston College that would be less than that. And so their participation on paying players would be maybe $8 million. And so I think both of those two things, I think we're going to see is the big schools are going to separate like they already have, but I think it's going to be actual now with contracts and dollars that we can talk about versus dollars like this past year. We don't know what one school's collective is doing versus another school's collective.
It's good thinking, Sutton. The bottom line is it's still going to be the haves versus the have-nots. Those who have money, those who don't. Those who have fan support year-round, those who don't.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. I think, but the separation, I think, is going to be a lot more distinct. And I think that you're going to see some schools that, like maybe even Vandy in our own conference, that just can't that just can't participate at that $20 to $25 million level. I mean, they just don't have the ticket sales. They don't have all of the things that you need. And I also think that turning Schloss's program into a revenue-generating sport, i.e. building him the 10,000 that sells out in season tickets, is going to be even more important going forward so that A&M baseball can be a very lucrative revenue-generating sport.
Yeah, no question it can be because, again, last week or 2 weeks ago I tried to buy tickets. I couldn't. They were sold out. So
this is the here and now and the future. Like what we're getting now, we got to get used to it.
But what I think is, and I may be dead wrong in this. I'm no expert by any means, but I think the Rutgers and the Vanderbilts are going to be okay because somehow being in that SEC Big Ten umbrella, you're going to be fine. What I think is the teams that worry are the teams that are in the lesser conferences like UH or the teams that would be considered mid-majors. Those are the ones I think that are really in trouble. But it goes back to what, my theory for years has been that someday the larger schools are going to break off.
Away.
They're going to be their own division because not everybody can play at the $100 tables. And if you can't play if you're not up there to play Baccarat, then,
you can
go to the slides.
You can play occasionally. You can get a game or two in there, but you can't, you're not competing with it.
And
that's why the Big Ten and SEC, I think, are I don't know about joining forces, are lining their visions in their future.
Maybe what Sutton was saying was right about, Vanderbilt and Rutgers will be in trouble, but I just have the feeling that the conference membership is going to be enough to sustain them, but it's the teams in lesser conferences that are going to really suffer with all this.
Well, and the speed of this is happening, and we're being forced. These commissioners and presidents are going to be forced to make a decision here within the next 30 days, which is because the NCAA and the conferences, they never do anything fast, but they're going to be pushed because if it doesn't settle and this goes to trial, they could. I mean, the estimates are $4 billion. So I mean, it's not something that we can. Well, let's just take our day in trial. Everybody knows the NCAA is going to lose in trial, and so to go to trial and not settle is really not an alternative. And that's what I think is interesting is the speed of this happening over, let's just say, the next 2 months is going to be remarkable.
Who are they trying to negotiate and settle with? Because do the players have representation?
It's the House case. Yes, it's the House case in California. The lady that is the judge, she has 3 of the 4 lawsuits against the NCAA, and the conferences are listed as additional plaintiffs or additional responsible parties. So it's including all of the 31 groups. But obviously, the leadership is going to come from Sankey and the Big Ten on, okay, we're going to settle this thing and we're going to move on. And I believe that there's going to be some other people that are not going to want to settle. Some conferences that just can't. They financially cannot agree to what they're wanting to do. And I think this is going to be the separation over the next, let's just say, 60 days.
Sutton, good stuff, man. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. We got to hit a break here, OB. I do want to answer this. Who was it on the YouTube page asking about this? It was Mike asking about this awesome shirt. What do you think? Pretty good?
I like it.
You can't buy it.
Really?
Just golf team shirt. Kortan. It was a gift.
If
Kortan's going to come on the show today.
I would make it available.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, Sarge is kind of slimmed down.
But he's jacked. He's
is,
ripped. Yeah, he's been following.
I mean, he's always been ripped. He's always had a huge chest.
But he's more like
Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
Mr. Big Chest. But now he's looking like he's slimmed down. And
he's
shape.
been doing 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff. Yeah, he's training for an Ironman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doing a little jiu-jitsu on the side too. I can fight. Hey, I drive by this all the time. You ever drive down? I don't even know the name of the road, but in South College Station where Ground Shuttle is.
Oh yeah,
Greens Prairie Road's right in front of it. You've got
a big apartment complex.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I hung out with Camilo last week and Maria. They run it. They're an awesome place. If you're trying to get to Bush Airport, that is the way to go there in Bryan College Station. Commute in comfort with luxury, with reclining seats and power outlets. Enjoy the ride, catch up on work and emails, and read a book while your shuttle drive it takes care of it for you. Take you right there. Shuttles depart from Ground Shuttle's office next to Casa de Brazil. They're in College Station. You can get dropped off at the office or utilize their convenient and secured on-site parking for free. They run 9 shuttles on weekdays every hour and a half and 5 shuttle times on the weekends every 2.5 hours. Excellent for business travelers. And I know we got a couple of interns that use it here to get to the airport, to go to their families in Chicago and wherever you want to go. You can book a vehicle in their fleet to accommodate your group size and needs, charter for in-town and out-of-town travel anywhere, hassle-free. It is a local company, and he does not book anything. Camilo doesn't book anything. He told us this in our meeting last week that he cannot guarantee. He also takes excellent care of his fleet with an amazing maintenance and cleaning plan out there. Check out the website, groundshuttle.com, to get some pricing out there. It is fantastic. I'm telling you, you don't want to pay for parking at the airport, right? Let him do it for you. Significantly cheaper doing that. 855-303-4415. Sometimes you don't get parking.
As we know.
We've learned that, right? Drop you off. Bam. Ground Shuttle. Let them do the driving. It is groundshuttle.com. Good song right here, OB.
Yeah.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm not sure you heard it because your headphones weren't on.
It was Mountain Music by Alabama.
Look at you. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. I do want to do a little boom or bust here in a second, but before we do that, OB, let's talk a little Aggie basketball. Okay. So John Rothstein has a report out. I'm trying to get my page to open up so we can discuss it here. And Brandon Gardner, this is from 247 High School Hoops, and I'll get to the Rothstein one. But according to 247 High School Hoops, Brandon Gardner from USC is down to 6 schools. Okay. And those 6 schools are Arizona, Arizona State, NC State, Texas A&M, San Francisco, Jacksonville, and let's see, he redshirted his freshman year, but was a 4-star recruit in the 23 class, 2-way player, and his senior year in New York, he averaged 12 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks per game at Christ the King, while being named Mr. Basketball.
Jacksonville and Arizona I get. Arizona State, okay. A&M I get. And then one was Jacksonville and one was some other kind of...
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yep.
I know they were in the tournament and all.
6'8", 220.
Okay.
The other, I'm intrigued. Call me intrigued. The other one is John Rothstein says UTSA transfer Jordan Ivy Curry is receiving interest from the following programs. Kansas, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
TCU, Oklahoma, Grand Canyon, UCF, Florida State, Duke, and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I always want to look at who else wants you, right?
Yeah.
And you know who I admire in all that? I don't even know who the coach is at Grand Canyon.
He's like, let's try
but
it.
Let's go. I mean, make him say no. I know Duke and Kansas and Oklahoma and A&M's in there, but
you're going to like
gosh,
this.
come to Grand Canyon.
So this is basically fits what we talked about yesterday on the show. I want 3-point shooting. You want a big guy, right? Didn't that what you said yesterday? You want a big
combination
guy?
of both.
Yeah. Well, the big guy we already discussed, Jordan Ivy Curry, 17 points a game for UTSA last year, shooting 40% from the field and 39% from 3.
Sounds like a take.
Now, why would he pick A&M over Duke? Let's discuss that because there might be a reason. At Duke, you may not play. You might play. I don't know their roster. They're Duke. They got guys. At A&M, you're playing. And you have a chance to win and win hopefully big in the SEC.
And, you're already in San Antonio, maybe.
Family.
Maybe. I don't know where he's from.
Me neither. I'm just hoping.
Maybe you saw the way A&M played. You saw that Houston game. Say, oh, man, I could be the difference.
I like Buzz Williams.
Maybe that.
Buzz is my guy.
Maybe so because, you haven't seen guys. Well, I heard that A&M and one other program, and I forgot who it was. Was it Utah State or somebody like that? Were the only basketball programs in the country that didn't have anybody in the transfer portal. Any starters and things like that.
Because Bryce Lindsey went in the portal.
Yeah, any starters. I think that, or maybe when I heard that, Bryce hadn't already gotten in.
Right.
But the point is that the main guys, maybe you're looking at it and saying, I think I could fit in well there.
Let's hope. Look.
And it's not Coach K running that show anymore at Duke.
I like they're being active. I like they're going for guys that have produced.
Mm-hmm.
I like that this kid is, I think he would be a 5th year, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to find my notes on it, but I think he's going to be he was a junior last year, so he's got some time left, right?
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. Boom or bust time.
Okay.
I've been doing kind of alphabetical order. We'll see if that continues. Arkansas. I would say I'll look at their schedule here in a minute, but they were 4-8 last year.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman was everybody's best friend 2 years ago. Everybody loves Sam Pittman. He had a really good quarterback in KJ Jefferson, who I think saved them on many occasions. He's no longer there. He's at Central Florida. Okay? They went 4-8 last year with KJ Jefferson. I know they're super excited about their new quarterback, Taylon Green. He's not KJ Jefferson. Regardless, he's not KJ Jefferson.
Right.
I can make a case that they'll be worse than they were last year. And I can make a case that they'll be, because again, it's boom or bust. Like what do I think the high level for this program is, and what I think the low level is for their program. I don't know if we have a graphic with their schedule. Do we have that, Nick, by any chance? If not, I'll there we go. So let's kind of go through it for a moment. The month of September is not going to be kind to them.
It doesn't look like it.
So they'll win that first game.
You're going to take them over Pine Bluff?
Yep.
I would too.
At Oklahoma State, I typically pick the SEC team. But again, they were bad last year with KJ. What makes me believe that they're going to win that game? Now, because they're SEC.
Because Oklahoma State's not probably going to be that good either.
But at Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Okay. UAB, that's not an easy game.
I'll always take
I will too, but
SEC team over a mid-major.
All right, well, let's go through their SEC schedule and tell me where are the wins, okay? At Auburn?
Yeah, if that was in Fayetteville, maybe I'd take them. But on the road at Auburn, yeah, I would be skeptical.
A&M at Jerry World?
I think that's a loss.
Tennessee?
That's probably a loss, even at home.
LSU?
I don't think LSU's going to be that great.
But they're going to be better.
They're going to be better than Arkansas.
At Mississippi State?
That's a possible win, except you're on the road.
Possible, right?
They'll be better coached, Mississippi State.
Ole Miss, loss.
Than they were last year. Ole Miss is a loss.
Texas,
loss. A loss, most likely.
Louisiana Tech, win, maybe.
I can remember. I don't know what Louisiana Tech's going to have.
They lose a great receiver every year, it sounds like.
Yeah,
but they'll probably generate a new one this year. And then at Missouri, who I know you're not super high on, but they are a top 10 team.
I would take them over. No, I just said I wonder about their defense.
Sure, right? So to me, the bust is they only win their non-conference games, right? Outside of Oklahoma State, right? They're only and they're not even guarantees. UAB is not a guarantee. Louisiana Tech and Pine Bluff, right? Those are not. So to me, 3 wins is their bust.
Well, I wish I knew more about Arkansas right now. I haven't called my friend Bob Holt yet to do
He'll fill you in.
Every year I start after spring is over with. I call everybody that A&M is going to play, and try to get a scouting report. I know they only had 2 guys drafted. One was the kicker, and one was that Bo Limmer, who they thought was their best offensive lineman, who was okay. But I look at them and say, where were they good last year?
To me, by looking at that schedule, it is very possible October 1st, Sam Pittman is no longer the coach.
Oh, you think they'd move that quickly?
Well, put up that schedule again, because if you lose to Oklahoma State, Auburn, and A&M, with Tennessee coming up, maybe they would do it after the Tennessee game, maybe with a bye week, right? But if they lose their SEC games to start, which is very possible, including Oklahoma State, heading into your bye week with already 4 losses?
Well, that's a proud program that has been struggling for a long time, but a proud history, and they'll probably win a game or 2
that they shouldn't.
Through 12 games that you don't expect them to win.
Okay, so that's a 5-7 team?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
What's their best case? 7 wins? Best case? What are the tweener games? Auburn tweener game as of today?
Okay. Give them all the tweeners. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no reason to pick them over A&M. Just look at the series the last decade.
Mississippi State tweener. Oklahoma State tweener. Auburn tweener. Maybe they get lucky in a different game.
I always define on there who you would call a rivalry game. Missouri and A&M probably. And maybe LSU. And in rivalry games, crazy things happen. So I always say, I can remember Pitt beating West Virginia in a rivalry game that kept West Virginia from playing for the national championship. Bizarre crap happens. But if I was in Vegas and the under-over on Arkansas was, say, 5, 4.5, maybe 4.5, I'd take 5, but
at 5, I might take the under.
If it's 5.5, I'm definitely taking the under.
Yeah,
because I'm with you. I heard the quarterback. He's the guy that transferred in from North Carolina.
Taylor Green.
Yeah, he's supposed to be really good.
He had a good spring game.
But don't tell me about somebody who's supposed to be good, especially when he's replacing someone who was good. Are you going to be better at quarterback with this Green guy other than KJ
It's the
Jefferson?
LSU conversation we're had, right?
I'm skeptical.
Like, is it possible? Now, here's the difference. Brian Kelly has proven throughout his long history that he can replenish teams. He can find a way to win 9 or 10 games most years, okay? I don't know if we haven't seen that from Sam Pittman.
We've seen one good year.
They won 9 that year?
Yeah, when they got a bunch of transfers in that first year when he took transfers, and they hit on, I think, all of them.
Yeah.
And they probably win 8 if.
And they had a really good offensive line, which is a question here. They got a few transfer for their O-line, but reading a little bit of what they're reporting out of there, they need more depth there. They're not really comfortable with the offensive line. So if Sam Pittman isn't super comfortable with this offensive line, and he's an offensive line coach, and that's when they were good a couple years ago, they had a great offensive line, and they haven't had a great one since, I got my questions.
You know, I used to call them our Kansas, but I think Kansas is better than Arkansas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they might be, so I can't even call them that.
Apparently, not that this is a huge deal as of today, their kickers went 4 of 8 on field goals in the spring game.
I think your kicker is a big deal.
It is a big deal. I'm just saying because it's spring, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But the guy they are trying to replace at kicker got drafted. And it doesn't matter what round you get drafted when you're a kicker. That means everybody's, okay, this guy's really good.
That's right. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more. If you want to talk, you can. 979-693-1150. Brazos Running Company time. You know where you can find them. They're there at Century Square. They moved there, I don't know, like a year and a half ago. It's awesome. It is the place to go get your running gear out there. Whatever you're looking for, they've got an outstanding selection, and they will take care of you. They've got the best brands out there, Brooks, On, Hoka, New Balance. Somebody mentioned to me I should have said another brand. I'm sure they got it all. Well, if you're looking for shoes, they got you there at the Brazos Running Company. If you're a runner, a walker, or interested in fitness at all, the right shoe makes all the difference in the world. And at Brazos Running Company, they're passionate about running and finding the right shoe for you. Again, they have other brands to talk about. They've got Birkenstock. They got Viore out there. It's never too early to start thinking about gifts for folks, Christmas, birthdays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever it may be. Make sure you think about Brazos Running Company, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. It is Brazos Running Company. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, David Nuño, Olin Buchanan. Let me read this. Derek Henry on the chat says, Nuño, we're better than Duke when it comes to basketball. Duke did go further in the tournament, and Duke's got the history. But I think A&M would have beat them in the tournament, but we didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen it. I would have felt good about A&M's chances. I probably would have bet on A&M if I was so inclined. But it didn't work out. But how lucky was Duke, though?
They were lucky.
Because then, UH's best player gets hurt, and you still have to win by the skin of your teeth. So,
yep.
But, Duke has the history behind them and all that.
Yep.
But it's not the same coach.
Angry Elephant News and Social Center, Eric Casares, got some text messages for us.
Yep. 979 said, I think I heard the Arkansas QB that transferred from UNC is going back, ?
I haven't heard that.
I'm doing a little Google search. Taylor Green is an American football quarterback for the Arkansas Razorbacks, but previously played for Boise State, not North Carolina.
Oh, well, they had somebody that went from North Carolina.
Maybe he was at North Carolina before that, because you never know in today's world.
Right.
Is it possible he went back in? I don't see it anywhere listed.
If that's news to me, but in today's college sports, anything's possible.
What's his name? The Proctor situation with Alabama.
Iowa, back to Alabama.
Is it Caden Proctor? Is that right? No.
That might be right. I just know Proctor. Big kid from Des Moines.
Went to Iowa.
Went to Alabama, transferred to Iowa.
Back to Bama.
And now in the portal again, supposedly.
But I think he's staying at Bama. I think he's staying at Bama, So, what else, Eric?
Yep. So Kevin in Austin said the majority of NIL compensation should be deferred until athlete either graduates or uses up their eligibility at the school. Pay them amount to cover living expenses and defer the rest. If they lose their eligibility or transfer, they lose out on the major portion of their NIL money. And if they transfer, they sit out a year, period.
Well, I mean, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because, that's like saying, well, if you get a job while you're in college, we're going to pay the majority of it.
How am I going to eat, OB?
Go
to the student center to eat, I guess.
Yeah, or, that place that the athletes go to eat. It used to be the Slocum Center. I don't know if it's still with all the.
Yeah, it's still called Slocum.
Okay.
It's just in a different location.
Yeah, okay. You guys eat pretty well, right?
You ate there once too, right?
Yeah, I remember the days of Kane Hall. I looked for. I would schedule interviews with like guys like Eric, just so I'd have a lunch at Kane Hall.
Maybe Mike Elko's listening, because I think he's probably a fan of the show, and he's like, you know what? Let's start doing it. Let's open it up. Come eat with us.
They charge us.
Or not.
Yeah, they charge us.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they charge infants to get into a sporting event.
Obi, thank you, sir.
All right.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we'll talk a little Aggie baseball. Schloss joining us. We'll talk about Tarleton State. We'll talk about LSU. We'll get into all that and much, much more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Shifting to baseball. My understanding is, my partner right here, Richard Zane, you're going to be heading to Baton Rouge here tomorrow.
Yep. I think it's like a 6-hour drive tomorrow morning, so I'll be there at the Alex Box Stadium. I'm excited about it.
Yep, and I'm excited to welcome Jim Schlossnagle here on the program. Schloss, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Happy to be on with you.
Thank you for joining us. So let's first off look back at Tarleton, a game where, Braden and Jackson, I think, struggled to go 1 for 10, and yet you guys still scored 10 runs and get another midweek game. Just talk a little bit about the way you all played.
I thought we played okay. Jace got a big swing in the bat. Teddy got a big swing in the bat for us. Jace got a big swing in the bat to kind of, get the ball game tied. And then I thought Brad Rudis, key point in the game was Rudis. I bring him in first and third. We're already down 3 runs, and he gets us out of the inning without giving up another run. And then that's when Jay hit his homer. That was really the turning point of the game. And then the 2 innings that Caden Wilson pitched, number 1, helped us win the game because it slowed the momentum down on their side. And number 2, such a positive sign for Caden, and if he can be anything close to that or similar to that moving forward, that's the extra bullpen arm, specifically left-handed arm that we've been looking for. So, Ali had a good night. Our lineup is our lineup. What more can you say about it? It doesn't rely on any one person. And there's going to be days. There have been days. There's going to be days coming where a great pitcher gets it, because a great pitcher is always going to get a great hitting team if he's on. But there aren't that many opportunities for a pitcher to come up for air when you're going through that lineup if we can stay healthy. So trying to keep these guys healthy, and right now we're just trying to navigate getting through Navasota on a bus in this rain on our bus trip to Baton Rouge.
You mentioned a couple of standouts from Tuesday night that I definitely want to get more of your thoughts on, but the thing you just mentioned, health. We all saw that Gavin Grohovic didn't play Tuesday night against Tarleton. A lot of us expected that after what happened Saturday evening against Georgia. Where is he at? What's the status update on Gavin after he's been able to stay off that leg for the last few days?
Well, where is he at? He's about 5 or 6 rows behind me on the bus, I think. He moved around yesterday. He hit pretty much full speed in the cages. He ran the bases a little bit. He took some ground balls, but nothing that was too stressful, like a slow roller play or a tough backhand or anything like that. Our trainer's been rehabbing him really tough, so he's been sore, but it's more sore from the rehab necessarily than the injury. So I think he'll be available this weekend, but I have yet to see him on a field go all out. So hopefully it won't be raining in Baton Rouge tonight so we can practice and we can really see him move around. But he's certainly in much better shape than what he was Saturday night, and all the tests came back favorable to him being healthy. But I can promise you this: if there's any doubt, I'm not playing him. I mean, something happening to a hamstring that would knock him down for a couple of weeks is not worth it. So we'll see. But he's trending in the right direction.
Schloss, you mentioned him earlier, Caden Kent, just how well he played, and just you're just big picture on him.
Yeah, Caden's Caden's exactly who we all are. I've always known Caden to be. Caden's he's a winning player. And on this team, there are some guys with some over-the-top tools. Chestnut being when he's healthy, just being an elite runner. Camarillo, Caden's a really good defender. Camarillo's an elite defender and has really come on as an offensive player. And then you got to, potentially, I don't know if it's once in a lifetime, but a very rare freshman third baseman, and so Caden, would be starting on a lot of teams at any three of those spots. But this is a tough team to play on. He got some opportunities, and he's done great. And that's been one of my biggest challenges, is trying to keep that next level position player, trying to keep them positive, trying to keep them engaged. Caden's always engaged. Caden's super competitive, and he wants to play all the time. He's pissed when he's not playing, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being mad when you're not playing. It's making sure you handle it the right way, and he's handled it the right way. And what a luxury to have if somebody goes down. So he got that big hit to give us separation the other night. 3-run, 2 out, 2 strikes, 3-run bases loaded double. So we think the world of Caden, and he's got a bright future in college baseball.
From one Caden to another, Caden Wilson, I believe it was his best outing on Tuesday night against Tarleton. If he can bottle up, not that his previous outings have been terrible. He's actually looked very positive against SEC competition the last couple of weeks as well. But if he can bottle up what he did Tuesday night, what does he provide this pitching staff on a weekend?
Yeah, I think all he's got to do moving forward is just continue to throw strikes. He's actually done that. I think he's had maybe one walk. He had the one walk in the inning where we gave up the lead to Alabama. I think the couple hits he's given up have all been flares. The 2-run single against Alabama was pretty decent. But he's got a good arm, that fastball. He's got a good life to his fastball. When he catches it right, his breaking ball is really good. He threw one changeup the other day. I think he's an eventual starting pitcher. I don't know if it'll be this year because the weekends mean so much, and we only have one more midweek game, so we'll probably piece that together after the weekend's over. But we knew Caden was special when we signed him. We knew he was really good as we got into fall practice, and then he's just been banged up ever since. But if we can keep him healthy, that's a left-handed arm that maybe can get some outs that Aschenbach or Sadeo don't have to get in a game when they're fringy available or not available. And he's a freshman, man. It's a bright future. I need to do the study. I need to go. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. We're talking to Jim Schlossnagle here on TexAgs Radio. Any takeaways from Isaac Morton's outing or Weston Moss?
They're still, it's just so talented. And that's what I was going to say. Freshman pitchers in this league, it's really just college baseball in general, but freshman pitchers, specifically freshman right-handers, there's such a difference between their freshman and sophomore year. And Isaac goes out there and gets 3 outs on 7 pitches in the first inning, and then the fan belt slides off a little bit, and he can't get it back. And that's a mental. There's nothing physical about that. It's a mental challenge. I think Weston. We're asking a lot of Weston. I'd like to see him pitch on a little more rest, but they're freshmen. They show you flashes of brilliance, and then the thing that is, the reason we spend the most time, effort, and money of any program in the country on the mental game is exactly that. Like, you cannot be in control of your performance unless you're in control of yourself. And so when kids are in high school, they're so much better than everybody else. The mental game really doesn't come into play. But when you come to a place like this where everybody is really the same player, they're all really, really, really good. What's going to separate you is the ability to, you make 2 bad pitches, can you circle it back and get back in the strike zone? Or can you handle someone making an error or somebody hitting a homer on you and getting right back? And that we give them all the mental skills and practice to do that. But you have to experience it, as much as we want to teach them and try to prepare them, they have to experience it. So I think there's great days ahead for both those kids, both this year and certainly, they are fully in our plan for the future of this program.
On Tuesday night, we got to see the power surge from Teddy Burton continue. Now 5 home runs in his last 4 games. Where has this come from, and what has he done behind the scenes that have allowed him to go on a run like this?
Well, I mean, it's always been here. He hit 30 or between 30 and 40 homers during his 4 years at Michigan. I think if you ask all of our staff who still had more left in the tank on the back half of the season, I think most of our coaches would have said Teddy. So he's been working on getting in better positions with Coach Early. He's always been able to drive the ball the other way. Sometimes he gets himself in positions where he's only able to handle certain pitches in the strike zones, and he's really worked hard with Mike on getting in better positions. And he's, I think one of the keys for him is, I think he's second on our team in walks. He has more walks than strikeouts. So it's not just the power; it's getting on base. And when you have more walks than strikeouts, you're normally a guy that can get in deep counts and can eventually get your pitch when the pitcher makes a mistake. So I think he's another example. I know Bronny's talked about it before. The transfers that come here, they get better, whether it be because of the coaches, Mike or Max or Nolan, all the guys that impact our team, or the weight room, or all those things combined. So just like Jack Moss, Hunter Haas, Dylan Rock, Troy Quanch, almost all those guys come here and get better.
Schloss, let's shift now to this LSU series. You guys have been on the road and won on the road, but going to Baton Rouge is a kind of a different animal. That crowd is certain. You can certainly feel them. Yeah, it's different. I coached at Tulane for 8 years, and I've been called Tiger Bait as much as most people. So going through that, playing in regionals there in the 90s when I was at Tulane, and I was on the field when we beat LSU to go to the College World Series in 2001. It's Coach Bertman's last game. So Nolan obviously played and coached there, so we're very familiar with it. But we don't play the games; the players do. So I think, but I'm not. That doesn't worry me. Matter of fact, that excites our players, having the opportunity to play at home in front of the 12th man and the noise that brings. I think when you go on the road, what you're looking for is those opportunities where somebody makes a big pitch, or somebody hits a homer or does something, and the most beautiful sound is when it all gets quiet. So, but it's going to be a challenge. They have a good team. I mean, every team has a different story, and there have been plenty of teams and plenty of LSU teams that have been kind of just going back and forth through the middle of the season and then catch fire at the end. So we're going to face some really good starting pitching, and then obviously a lineup anchored around some big, strong right-handed hitters, Jared Jones, Tommy White, and then they have some really good young players that are playing now too. So, it's going to be another SEC dogfight.
I think the last time you were there, 2022, that really served as a turning point for your ball club that year. But driving into the ballpark, a fan reminded you that you were number one, I believe, with a specific finger. So any tips of the trade to handle stuff like that when you're rolling into Alex Box Stadium?
No, that's what makes it fun. That I don't know if LSU has a hand sign. Maybe that number one sign they gave me was their hand sign. But no, I think they do the L, right? They do the L thing. But no, it's that's what makes playing in this league awesome. That's why you come. That's why you leave the places you leave to come play in this conference, or as a player. This is the big leagues of college baseball. So it's like being a Yankee going into Fenway Park, or a Red Sox going into Yankee Stadium. I mean, that's why you do it. So it's fun. It really is. It's maybe not fun in the moment because there's a lot of anxiety and pressure involved with it. But at the end of the day, this is the best of the best of college baseball. And if you can't handle it, don't come here.
Well, Schloss, obviously they're a very proud program, but they're backed into a corner. They're desperate for a win. Just talk about the challenges of taking on a team that really has to fight to claw their way into any kind of postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I've said to you guys before, but Joe Torre's book about, I think it was the 96 Yankees, they interviewed Derek Jeter, and he talked about, I think they won 106 games or some crazy number of games. And they asked Jeter what made that team so special, and his quote was, "We were always desperate to win," and that's where we have to be as desperate to win. I mean, I think you're always on the bubble of something, whether it be making the conference tournament or making a regional or hosting or whatever. So we can't look at it. We don't, and I don't ever, not once have I ever heard our players talk about our record, ever. All they talk about is the next day. And so I'm fully confident that we will be ready to play. I'm sure LSU will be ready to play. Just got to go play well. So you can't get over emotional or, put one game up or step up. For us, there is no step up. You revert to your training and do what you do and let the results take care of themselves.
Coach, I see the A&M baseball Twitter account has announced your starting rotation this weekend as Ryan Prager, Tanner Jones, and then TBA on Sunday. We saw that same lineup, same rotation from you last weekend, and Lampkin ended up getting the start in Game 3. What is the thought process that went into naming this rotation this weekend?
Yeah, that's inaccurate. That may be my fault. Sending a bad text message. No, we're going to throw Prager, Lampkin, and then we'll decide what we're going to do in the third game. So Lampkin will pitch the second game. That's probably my fault in communication with our media relations guy. But I will. But it's going to be, Prager on the first game, Lampkin in the second game, and then more than likely Tanner. We wanted to do some things with him in the bullpen yesterday, work on a few things. He threw a little, not a lot, but just a few more pitches than he normally would in his midweek bullpen. And so we'll just make sure he feels great. More than likely he'll throw the third game, but we'll see. We'll just see who all we use and see what the best matchup is.
Schloss, obviously you have the Charlie Condon experience from last week, so you guys know how to take on these titans of college baseball, but just the challenges of taking on Tommy White and Hayden Travinsky.
Yeah, I mean, just veteran superstar players, and you can put Jared Jones in that mix. Big right-handed power. I'm not sure exactly how the wind plays there. I think if it's warm, it blows out. Or I don't know if it blows out to every part of the park like it does at Bluebell, but it's certainly going to be an offensive place. So, again, the most important part of pitching to those kind of players is you got to get the guys out around them so that because they're going to get their hits and they're going to do their damage. But you can try to, if you can just limit it to, solo homer or a two-run homer. And I think Charlie, he's a great hitter. I thought we pitched him really well. The times we made a mistake, he made us pay for it. But when we made good pitches, I mean, Lampkin struck him out. I think, I don't know if Evan struck him out. But he hit, when he wasn't hitting the homer, he was hitting the two-hopper to shortstop or a pop-up foul to Teddy. So he's human. They're all human. But you have to respect them, no doubt about it.
Schloss, great stuff, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Giggle. Jim Schlossnagle there on the hotline. Zane, before I let you go, just isn't it interesting in the SEC that you can win a national championship, and the next year you have no idea in the first week of May if you're going to have any postseason?
Well, we've seen it happen 3 straight years now. Mississippi State didn't go to the postseason in back-to-back years. Looks like Ole Miss isn't going to go to the postseason in back-to-back years. And right now LSU is fighting for their postseason lives 1 year after winning a national championship. But they lost a lot off of that national championship team, specifically Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz going 1-2 in last year's MLB draft. But, they've got the talent still. They still have plenty of pieces around it where they can beat you on any given weekend.
Absolutely.
So you can't take them lightly. I know in the past, when you're talking about Mississippi State and Ole Miss, those two teams didn't even go to the SEC tournament after winning the national championship in the last 2 years. LSU is going to be an over. So they will still have shots to make the postseason, make the NCAA tournament round of 64, whether that is through an at-large bid or running the table at the SEC tournament. LSU is still capable of getting there, and you don't want to be the reason that they get hot down the stretch. So take care of your business this weekend, even on the road in a hostile environment, and push them one step closer to missing the NCAA tournament. I think Aggie fans everywhere would love to do that.
Yep, you're right. Thank you, Richard. Hey, have you been to Hush and Whisper yet?
I have not.
Okay, buddy. Are you a whiskey guy?
I can be.
Do you like to learn?
Sure.
Do you like to watch presentations?
I always love learning.
Yeah. You like tours?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then you need to check out Hush and Whisper Distilling Company. They're in downtown Bryan, by the way, in the Versco building. They make spirits, right? They make this awesome white whiskey, 70% corn, 16% wheat, 14% malted barley. They've got the original vodka there. They got the original gin, and they only source from the finest local ingredients in the area. Highest quality production at Hush and Whisper, and it's really just a cool place to hang, right? Like we're talking about, especially if you have out-of-town guests or if you want to impress your wife, a loved one, go to Hush and Whisper. I'm telling you, it is awesome. You can just go hang and chill, or you can go learn. As I mentioned, they have the tasting, they have the tours, and you'll learn the process. The whole thing is it's a cool thing. Look, I don't drink, and I wanted to start drinking whiskey right there. I was like, hook me up, homie. And I didn't actually say the word homie, though. Reserve a tour there or just a tasting. Book an event, meetings, celebrations, team building. Come in for a cocktail or a mocktail. Buy a bottle, experience it at home. Gin, vodka, and white whiskey. They're open Thursday, that's today, through Saturday, 11 a.m. right after the show to 11 p.m., 219 North Main Street. Go check it out. Enjoy the experience of Hush and Whisper. A great place to go hang, a great place to go entertain. You'll love it. Is Hush and Whisper. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Brian Kortan with us. We found out the men's golf team's regional coming up there at Stanford. But before we get into that, you have made me one of the more popular people in the building and in the city. Anytime I wear the swag that you gave me, like people are asking about it, you guys know how to design some cool stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of it's a pretty good story behind it. We're just trying to figure out how we could kind of showcase our Aggie Golf Association and give them something a little bit unique, but it took a little while. I mean, it wasn't like 5-minute rollout. It was like we had to get some approvals and go through the process, but I like how it came down. So golf and Sarge looks good.
Looks good. All right, so let's talk about the Stanford Regional, your thoughts on going out west and, great group of schools going out there.
Yeah, no, every regional is solid, so you have to go play good golf. Stanford will run a great tournament. Golf course will hold its own. I mean, it's a golf course where you have to play well regardless of who you are. Mm-hmm. And you do that. I mean, that's how regionals are set up. That the teams that are playing, they're good golf at the right time will be the ones that advance. So it doesn't matter where we go. We'll go wherever. This time it just happens to be Stanford, and guys will be ready to go.
Well, I was going to say yesterday in your presser, you said that's the mantra, right? You got to play well no matter where you go.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. I mean, there's so much depth in college golf now. I think you see it with even on the age of the PGA Tour. I mean, it's just getting younger and younger. So those guys are coming out of college golf. So there's just a ton of young talent and a lot of teams that have quality golfers and coaches that really pay attention and work their tails off. So the sport has really gone a long way in the last 10, 12 years in terms of depth and quality play. So, regardless where you go, you got to tee it up, show up, play your tail off, and move on.
I'll read you some of the teams out there. Ole Miss, Missouri, 2 SEC teams that'll be there. You've got Stanford, obviously, UCLA, Fresno State, Sacramento State, Florida State. Again, SEC all over the place, 3 SEC schools there. You've got SMU there, another Texas team. I know you expect to have great teams at these regionals, but some teams you know quite well.
Yeah, you're going to run into some teams you know. I mean, just based on the schedule we play all over the country and play against some of the best teams in the country. So we've seen Florida State. We've played against Ole Miss, and obviously we've seen Stanford a few times too. So it's just a matter of still. I mean, I hate to. I mean, to keep saying the same mantra, but our good golf is good enough to compete anywhere. And if we go and take care of our business, everything will be just fine.
How has this year, beyond just SEC play, this year prepared you for what's ahead?
It's been a battle a little bit. I mean, we've had some guys that have been really transitioning into different roles, and then guys that have been, really working on their game to kind of try to reach that next step. Which there's more to it in golf than you might think. It's not just, it's just not shooting better scores. There's a lot to go into shooting better scores. So we've had some guys transitioning into higher level play, different roles on the team. Losing a couple guys that were just great Aggies. So are great Aggies, but not playing on the team anymore.
Right.
So just in general, it's been a little bit of a transition, but the guys have really done a good job this spring. We've continued to get better. They've bought in. They've been coachable. They've been very aggressive in their pursuit of improvement, and we have. So I really still think our best golf's ahead of us. I thought we did a nice job at SECs and did some really good things, but I still think there's more.
So here's a note that I found. You all have finished in the top 3 in 4 tournaments and advanced to the semifinals. Obviously, they're at the SEC Championship. So just how do you feel about the direction you all are going?
I like the direction. The guys, like I said, our best golf's still ahead of us. And I think we'll get some school behind us this week. Everybody will be done with finals here shortly. Kind of clear their minds, kind of clean out their closet a little bit and get ready to go. So they know what's at stake and they like it. I mean, they like the feeling. They like the heightened sense of what's going on. So we've got a few guys that have done it before. Obviously, we had a quite the experience last year, and a few guys were involved in that. So they know it's in store, and they really want to get to San Diego and give it all they got there.
Pickashawn, how's he playing?
Pete, he would admittedly say he wasn't happy with how he played in Sea Island. Probably didn't hit it quite as well as he had been hitting it. So a little scrappy there, but he's great. He'll put his time in and he'll get it back to where he wants it. But really, just a high level player for sure.
And Jamie?
Yeah, Jaime's great. Jaime did a good job there.
That's my native tongue. I should have said.
Yeah, you got to know better than that.
Jaime
Montojo. He's doing a really good job. He'll get some school pass. I know he was a little behind in some school stuff, but he'll be ready to go. He he really played a good job and did a good job in Seattle in his matches. And obviously, everybody saw the big putt he made on the last hole to extend his match. But just in general, he did a great job tee to green. He'd say he was frustrated with his putting a little bit, but in general, he'll be ready to go. He really enjoys playing the team golf and being part of this.
I was listening to you yesterday, and it kind of struck me because you don't think of golf being like teammates playing for each other, but that's something that you've noticed about many of your teams, but this team in particular, that they play for each other. They got each other's back. They're a very close group.
They're extremely close, which, you know, we've had most of our teams have been that way. I really like that. I really try to have that as a kind of a culture piece. I mean, you can call it a culture piece, but really it's just how we are. It's our identity. We are in this together, and these guys really embrace that. They care for each other. We have international guys so far from home. Our guys that live here really take care of them, so it brings everybody closer together. But just in general, they care about the program. They care about representing Texas A&M, and they give it all they got when they can.
What's your schedule the rest of the way before you head out?
Well, hopefully it stops raining. I feel for Garrett. I mean, he's probably stressing, which I would be too if I was him. Just the weather hasn't been great for him. But get rid of the rain, get on the course and do the things we do to prepare. We stick to what we do. We're a very methodical program in terms of we don't panic. We do what we do, and we keep building. And that's what our guys do. They're builders and they're competitors. So it fits us well.
Not that you have to remind them, but that's basically the message heading into this. Like, just do what we do and go play well wherever you play.
It's the message that doesn't even have to be said, but that's Danny will say it, Mike will say it. Got some pretty good leaders, guys that really kind of learned to take in a leadership role. So they'll say it. Fast talk about it. I mean, I'll piggyback it a little bit, but the bottom line is these guys know what's at stake. They know what they want to do. And at this point, if I still have to remind them what it takes for us to be great, I haven't done my job very well. So they know what we got to do.
Is this, you're in the middle of it, is it fun? Or do you have to look back later and be like, man, that was fun?
You know, I enjoy what I do. So I'm not this adventurous, fun guy, I guess I'd say. I really like what I do and I appreciate the challenge. So there's times I look back and go, man, that was special. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of special moments at A&M since I've been here. So, but in general, I mean, like I look back to last year's regional and how we got through a playoff and how we were basically dead in the water with about 10 holes to go. And somehow those guys did what they did. And then to win the playoff and then go to the national championship and really get pretty close to getting into the match play. There's been some special things happen in this program. And fortunately, I mean, I've been part of them and I do look back. I'm glad you asked that because maybe that'll remind me to look back a little bit. I tend to look forward and try to figure out how to climb the next hill. So, but we've climbed a lot of hills.
Top 5 advanced, correct?
Top 5.
Cool. Good luck, man. Hopefully you'll come back afterwards and we'll break it down.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Brian Kortan. Yeah, thank you here on the program. Right now, we got a weather alert, Nick. All right, tell us.
No, I'm just saying we can't hit a break until.
We can't hit a break.
Yeah, they're done with that weather alert. So just do your spot, and
that
I'll
was
let you
awkward.
know. That's why I said it in your ear, my friend.
I didn't realize you said it. So Nick Savage, you can't hear him. He just told me, hey, there's a weather alert. And I was like, oh, go ahead, give us a weather alert. He's like, no, we can't hit a break until the weather alert passes. So my apologies to the audience wondering what the heck we're talking about. But I can talk about Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Great deals on their website. When you go to their website, you can kind of see the vehicles that they have, and that'll give you a little sense for the pricing and the selection that they have, the inventory. But when you go, you're going to be blown away by the entire process, right? The selection, the pricing, the trade-in value, and of course, the customer service that starts before, during, and after you buy a vehicle there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet with their complimentary pickup and service and delivery for all of their service customers. It's a place to go when you're looking for a new vehicle and not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the very edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I want to remind everybody, preseason kickoff is coming up on Saturday, July 27th. We'll have the coaches there. It'll be a great event. It always is. We'll be having Schloss for sure there. I know that Mike Elko will be there. I believe we'll have Buzz Williams there. We're trying to work on schedules. All the coaches are invited to come hang out. Brought to you by Power 5 Financial. We already have registration open, so go to texags.com/kickoff so you can get yourself your tickets to an awesome, awesome event. Let's turn our attention to all college sports as we do Around College Athletics, presented by Milliken Reserve. Go check them out. I don't have the copy in front of me, so I'll have to read it to you after this. But let's go to the hotline. We're joined by Aaron Torres, AT from Aaron Torres Online and Fox Sports Radio. AT, what up?
Something about nature and a conservancy. Join now. I've been listening to that read for about 4 years, so I hope I helped. Did I help?
You did, and I think, you know what, we brought more attention to it by me not having the copy in front of me, so shout out to our good friends there at Milliken Reserve.
There you go. Well,
hey.
thank you to Milliken Reserve, who's been bringing me on this show for about 4 years now, so thank you.
You like nature, right?
I do. I love nature.
You like hiking and biking, canoeing, kayaking?
No, no, that's not really towards. I'll take a hike every now and again.
Okay. Well,
you want to hear a funny story about that?
Sure.
So, when my wife and I went on our honeymoon, we went to Hawaii for 10 days. It was incredible. Overpaid, whatever, no big deal. So first we go. Well, they call it island hopping, Nuño. You should look into it. First one we go to Maui, all beaches. Drinks by the beach, amazing. Unbelievable. Second island we go to is Oahu. That's where Honolulu is. It's a little touristy for our taste, but whatever. Everybody's like, you got to go to Kauai. Kauai is like this small, I think it's the northernmost island, whatever. Got to go to Kauai. Check out Kauai. You'll love Kauai. Well, we get there. Nothing to do but bike and hike and fish in nature. We were miserable for about 4 days there. So I'm bringing it up to say, Torres will go on a hike here or there. And I love Milliken Reserve. If I'm going to do it anywhere, it would be at Milliken Reserve. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea, except when I'm at Milliken Reserve. I think that's the point I'm trying to get at.
Well, we need to go hang out at Milliken Reserve and climb trees. Let's talk a little bit about the transfer portal.
I think that's what some of these protesters across the country are doing. Oh, sorry, we shouldn't talk about that. Anyway, continue.
The No Spin Zone here on TexAgs Radio. Hey, let's talk about Zurich Phelps, SMU guard who transferred A&M. Sure. There's a couple other ones. I'll read you the names. Pharrell Payne, who's coming in, the big man, and also C.J. Wilcher, who A&M played against in the NCAA Tournament for Nebraska. Just your thoughts on the way Buzz is trying to get some shooters, some length, and replenish what left with Boots Radford.
Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if you knew when you were covering that game. Where was it? Des Moines, Iowa. It was for the rights to C.J. Wilcher. Whoever won the game got to keep him.
Memphis,
and so,
Memphis, Tennessee.
Dude, it was Memphis? I thought it was Des Moines for some reason.
That was 2 years ago.
I'm all over the place anyway. Oh, okay. Anyway, I'm all over the place today. You lose your copy, I lose my mind. Anyway, so what I would say is, listen, and we talk so much about Aggie basketball, the ups and downs and whatever, but what the theme that you consistently brought to the table, which I agreed with, was they weren't that far away from having a really good year. Now, you get to the tournament, you win a game, you're a play away from going to the Sweet 16. In theory, that's not a bad year, but it was a path to get there where there was just a total lack of consistency on that team. And so I want to bring it up, David, because, I thought it was just a lack of consistent scoring more than anything else. So Zurich Phelps, I think, definitely will bring that to the table. Veteran dude. We know this is an older sport year by year by year. It continues to get older. And just a dude who's been through it all. And then you had Pharrell Payne, who is a very athletic big guy. I know there was some, not to say that Texas A&M isn't a big-time program, but I know there were some major programs that were really interested in him. And I think what you're bringing in is guys that have kind of proven they can essentially do it at a high level. I know SMU was in the AAC last year, but that was still a multi-bid league. And then Pharrell Payne, as I said, coming from Minnesota, coming from the Big Ten, I think the SEC kind of more wide-open style of play will benefit him. And then, as you said, A&M fans are kind of familiar with C.J. Wilcher. So overall, I like the class because what it's really done is it's added depth and veteran experience, but also guys that kind of fill the voids of both the players that have left and then also kind of the weaknesses of last year's team.
AT, one of the things that you mentioned there about, getting some veteran guys, that's what Kentucky's doing, which is, completely different than we saw during the Coach Cal years. I mean, they're getting some dudes. I looked at, I think it was your tweet, Lamont Butler, Amari Williams, Andrew Carr. These are all fifth-year guys. They got, 5 fifth-year guys coming in?
Yeah, it was crazy. You just, especially in that case, they're replacing literally their entire roster, 13 players. So the commits just kind of start rolling in, and you kind of lose track of who's going where and all that stuff. And, yesterday I kind of just looked up, and I really did notice the theme of, hey, they're not just getting guys out of the portal, which, I don't want to say Cal was reluctant to, because I think that's an unfair assessment of what he was doing. But, they weren't as aggressive under Cal. And you look up, and it's not just that they're getting players out of the portal. I believe they have 9 players now. 8 are transfers that have committed to Mark Pope since he took over. And I think 5 or 6 of them are fifth-year guys. And I honestly think that was by design. I think he'd probably like to have a little bit more balance. But the thing at Kentucky, like everywhere else in this portal era, is when you take over, especially in basketball, there's no reason that you have to be bad right away. And so I think he was trying to put together a team with pieces that fit, and it just so happens. But, yeah, it's crazy. I think it's 5 or 6 of the 8 commitments he has taken are fifth-year seniors, which one means there's going to be a lot of turnover this time next year as well. 2, to your point, David, probably the most high-profile basketball program in this league is going to look much, 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 much different when they take the sport in 2024, 2025.
Talking to Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. So, AT, I know that you want to talk about Deion and Shedeur, and let me just preface it by this. And those who don't know, they've been clapping up back at people, which I'm torn. I'm going to give you a Nuñoism. It is, but it isn't. I'm about to give you one. I love it for entertainment value. I would probably do the same thing. I don't like it from my head coach. I just don't. I don't think it's classy. It's cool to watch. It's cool to see, but I don't like it. If that's his brand, that's how he wants to do it, and he's got to go out and win. But I like clapping back because I would certainly clap back, but I don't want it from my head coach, man.
So, and that's kind of where I am actually, is, I actually didn't get into it yesterday because I was just busy and I didn't have time to get into an online discourse with everybody. I might talk about it on my show tonight, but it's just, on the one hand, I don't think it's the best look. Like, it isn't the best look. But a couple things stand out to me where I would defend Deion, Coach Prime, is 2 things. One is that I am a little bit unsympathetic to the woe is me story in the NIL era of college sports. Hey, listen, you want to be treated like a professional. You want to be paid like a professional through NIL, which we now know is basically player salary. You want to be treated. You want to be treated like a professional. You're going to be treated like a professional both ways. You don't get to cash those NIL checks and not deal with criticism or whatever. And guess what happened? We all watch Hard Knocks. Bring your playbook, and that's basically what Deion Sanders did. He just did it in a much more public way. Oh, by the way, that happens at every program in America: Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M. It's just Deion's the only one that has the camera rolling when it happens. So I was very unsympathetic to the player. And I think the other thing that stands out to me is, and I think you and I deal with this a little bit more than maybe the average listener, and it's not a knock, but when we're pseudo-public figures. And so people feel like when they disagree with us, they have a right to say whatever they want about us with no recourse. And, these are some of the things that I've gotten in trouble with is people chirp at me, then I chirp back, and they're like, whoa, why would you say that? That crosses a line. It's like, well, not sound like a 6-year-old, but you started it, And so I really, from those 2 perspectives, don't have a huge issue with what Deion did, but I also don't think it's the best look. And I also don't think it's the best look, obviously, coming off a 4-8 season in which you won one of your last 9 games. Now, granted, that article probably doesn't get written if they're coming off a 9-3 season, because the article would very much just basically it would just be like, well, it kind of confirmed that Deion was right. So I'm really torn because I'm not as outraged by it as anybody, but But I also think you and I kind of agree that it's just not the best look for a high major Division I head coach. By the way, if a player wants to do it, still probably not great, but it's not the worst. But when the coach did it, definitely is a little weird and different.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, let's close out with this. Luka Doncic, that's my guy. 35, 7, and 10 yesterday. And he said he wouldn't have played had it been a regular season game. He's been sick. He's had a knee injury. That dude's just a baller, man.
He's great. And I think the NBA, listen, I'm critical of the NBA, and I'll be honest, I don't really watch it in the regular season. But I have enjoyed these playoffs, and I'll tell you, this is going to sound weird. I am as excited about the Denver-Minnesota series as I can remember being. It's new, it's fresh. Anthony Edwards, Jokic, those guys are still new. But I think to bring it back to Doncic, I think it just speaks to whether the NBA is ready for it or not. We're entering a new era here. LeBron, Steph, KD, Anthony Davis, all these guys are out. I think to the point you just brought up, Kawhi, James Harden, Russell Westbrook are about to be out. And it's now, it's for lack of a better term, it's Luka Doncic's league, it's the Nuggets league, it's Jokic's league, it's maybe Anthony Edwards' league. So, like I said, I don't watch a ton of the NBA regular season, but I have actually enjoyed these playoffs, and I do think there's something fun about the new element of it, of seeing kind of that next wave of guys, the Lukas, the Anthony Edwards, having the success that they are in the biggest stages.
That is AT here on the program. Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate you, brother.
No problem. Thank you, David. Have a great day.
You too. AT, bringing it. All right, let's hit a break here. Schulte Roofing Time, an award-winning roofing company that provides industrial, commercial, and residential services to Belleville, Brenham, Bryan, College Station, Conroe, Montgomery, Navasota, San Antonio, the Woodlands, and the world, because they're the best. The surrounding counties is what I mean. They are the home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee, and that is the absolute best roofing system, roof installation with warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Or if not, you get your money back. How about that? New roof, money back because you didn't like it. But I know you're going to like it because it's Schulte Roofing. They started back in 1994, and they're committed to excellence. They've grown into a top 100 roofing company, and they're going to take amazing care of you. What you need to do is call them up or check out the website. You can call them up at 1-800-4ROOF. That number again is 1-800-4ROOF, or you go to SchulteRoofing.com. That is SchulteRoofing.com. Remember, Schulte Roofing is the home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. All right, Bob in my head here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Nick, did you know that we have a Mel Kiper clone working here in the office? Did you know that?
I do not know. I did not, actually.
Apparently, Eric Casares has grades for the NFL draft that he would like to share with us.
Yeah,
all right.
This is
so I am
breaking news.
I think he did this last year, if I remember correctly.
I did do this last year. I came back for another year.
I think I was underwhelmed. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I think you gave the Texans a very good grade last year.
I did. Okay, so first of all, let me go ahead and I'll go from F to all the way to A+. So I only gave one F in the first round. Can you guess what it is? I mean, I think it's Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos. I think they reached at number 12 there. I didn't think they had to take him at number 12. Could have traded back, got more draft capital, or could have selected him later in the draft. I just didn't see the point of doing that. So that was my F. A C, I gave it to Michael Penix just situationally. I think long-term it could work out, but Kirk Cousins is their guy for right now. They just paid him $180 million, so he's not going to start.
Yep.
B, I gave it to Drake May. Just because, yes, the Patriots did need a quarterback, but situationally, I don't really like it as much. But I like Jaden Daniels a little bit better in Washington moving forward. He's going to be the starter right away, and I think he's going to be a little bit better than Drake May. A, I gave it to Joe Alt for the Chargers. Just another offensive lineman, best tackle in the league. And then an A+, Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion, he is the best player in the NFL draft.
Wow. So you gave grades to the player / the team. That's what it sounds like,
Yes. Yes, sir.
What grade do you give Ryan Garcia?
For taking PADs?
Apparently so. He's denying it. He kicked that dude's butt.
He did.
Devin Haney.
He really did.
But if he cheated, it's not going to look good. We'll find out more about that. I'm sure our audience is captivated. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Richmond Webb should be Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame guest for sure. He's next on TexAgs. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk to a guy who should be in the Hall of Fame. Played at A&M from 1986 to 1989. He was an offensive tackle, drafted 9th overall by the Miami Dolphins in the 90 draft, played 11 years for those Dolphins, 2 years with the Bengals, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, member of the Miami Dolphins honor roll, and all-rookie team in 1990. 1990s all-decade team, started 167 games, played in 184. That's my guy, Richmond Webb, here on the program. Richmond, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, David. How you doing, brother?
Doing wonderful, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Always enjoy talking with you. So let's start things off with the draft. How was that experience? I know you were documenting almost everything. You got to hang out with a bunch of old athletes that you played against, played with, and got to see a lot of the legends.
I did, David. It was like almost being back in the locker room. So, anytime you get an opportunity to see some of the guys that were in the league with you, it's a brotherhood, and you get to share that. And then the ironic thing was I saw Bobby Taylor, which his son actually attends, played at Texas A&M. And then Moose Muhammad, I met his dad for the first time. He's a little younger than me, but we were in the league at the same time. And I told him how I really, his son's a great player and all that. So I had some Aggie connections, even though it wasn't just Aggies around me, and even kind of joked with Barry Sanders about, when we played him his last year at Oklahoma State and how they beat up on us and all that. So, man, I had a great weekend, and I'm on cloud 9. So, yeah, we had a really good time.
I love to hear that. Let me ask you about your Dolphins, too, because I don't know if you know this, but there's a particular Aggie that's an awesome running back for them. I know you know. I'm just kidding with you. But Devon Achane, man, when you look back at what he did his rookie year and what he can be, and I'm sure you saw a lot of this coming.
I saw it coming. The only concern I had at first was that, with him being a track athlete, having to cut weight to get down in the track shape, but he put the weight on, but I've even seen some pictures on social media this year how he's really bulked up even more. So I think he's going to pick up where he left off, and he's definitely going to be one of the weapons that we use again. I think he took some people by surprise, but I know the Aggies wasn't surprised, and I don't think the Dolphins were surprised because they know they got a steal with Devon Achane when we drafted him last year.
Richmond, do you watch Dolphins games like you watch A&M games? Is it just part of like what you do on the weekends?
I do. I get the NFL ticket because, I make it down maybe a couple times a year, but definitely I can watch the games, and I'm normally on Twitter and a bunch of Dolphin fans, and we tweet back and forth and, talk about the game, stuff like that. So stay well connected. And, I think that was why I got one of the opportunities to do the draft this past year. I did it in 2019, and then having the opportunity to do it this again quickly, it was good. We had a tremendous time in Detroit. I didn't get a chance to see Aaron Glenn or Coach Dan Campbell. They were busy working, but I really respect what they did last year, and they got close. And I think he's really building something. And you can tell the guys have bought in up there at Detroit, and they love him up there in Detroit. So he's doing a tremendous job.
So if the Dolphins are 1A, do you have a 1B? Do you follow other teams in the NFL, or are you just a fan of the Dolphins or just a fan of watching football?
No, I actually follow I follow the Texans. I live here in Houston. And, for a long time, 10 years, I was part of the ambassador program, which was fortunate me not playing for the Texans, but having that opportunity to be a part of that program until, it was a fairly new franchise. But I definitely think being an Aggie and stuff like that helped me get in the door with the Texans. But I love everything they're doing. D'Amico, the quarterback, he's building the right way. And they're one of our AFC rivals, and we come and play the Texans this year. So I'll be looking forward to that. But, yeah, they're definitely up and coming. And I think it'd be good for the city of Houston. The Astros have been holding it down, where everybody's Astro fans. But anytime your football team is doing good in the city you're doing, it just makes everybody feel better. So I wish them well, except when they play my Dolphins.
Hey, one last thing about the whole draft experience. When you're in that environment, does it make you not only miss the guys, but like just the feeling of walking into a locker room, the competition bug. You're not, obviously not competing there, but it just kind of bring back those kind of feelings and that season of your life.
Yeah, like I say, you don't get an opportunity to see a lot of guys on a daily basis. So, like I know Bobby Taylor lives here in Houston. I got to see Troy Vincent. He works for the league office. We played together. I saw TJ Hushmanzada. So at the end of my career, he was like a rookie coming in at Cincinnati. So it just makes you reflect back to your playing days. Mentally you can still do it, but physically, you can't. But it's always good to kind of share stories, and they always get better as time passes by. So just had a great time sitting back laughing and talking with those guys and reminiscing. So yeah, it's always great when you can get together with guys that play when you play.
I'm sure you don't want to talk about it, but I'll just mention it. I think you're going to get into the Hall of Fame soon. I'm seeing a social media and media push for it to happen again. There's an article that I read this morning. Webb should be the next Dolphins push for the Hall of Fame. All three of the four offensive tackles in the 1990s NFL All-Decade Team are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You're the only outsider. Do you think about it? Do you think it's coming? Because I do. I think people are pushing for it.
Yeah, David, I know my resume speaks for itself. So never going to be the guy that's, pissed off or, being a self-advocate for myself. But it's always good when other people mention you, this and that. And the Dolphin fan base has really been pushing. They got Zach Thomas in last year. He's Texas Tech Red Raider, but he's one of my Texas brothers too. So I was definitely happy about that. But sometimes it takes a while. So I'm not pissed off at anybody or whatever. Some guys get in quicker than others, but I think I definitely had a resume. And then when you start consistently getting mentioned, stuff like that, I think it helps your odds or helps you have a better chance of getting in a little bit quicker. So I'm going to just see how it plays out, but I definitely think I got the resume to be in the Hall of Fame. So that's the highest honor, and I would tremendously be grateful if that happens. But yeah, I think I got a pretty good shot.
Richmond, let's go back to your time here at A&M, just your relationships here, RC, Jackie, just those influences in your life and just why you picked A&M.
I think my first experience with Texas A&M was a FCA camp, Fellowship Christian Athletes. Came to high school, spent like a week down here, and then Coach Slocum, of course, recruited the Dallas area. He was the defensive coordinator, and Coach Sherrill was the head coach, and he had recruited several guys out of my high school. And I think that year, me and Aaron Wallace, we both graduated the same year. But I think just a lot of times, just my experience at A&M coming down, my visit, Johnny Holland and Steve Bullitt were our host, showed us around. So those were, two top-notch guys, and just got a real good feel for the guys that we met on our recruiting visit. And then, the reputation Coach Slocum had in my high school, the former guys that had went through Texas A&M, I just thought it was the right fit. And then when I got here, everything just worked out. So the guys I played with, this and that, it was perfect. I couldn't have made a better choice. I tell people that all the time. And actually next week I have my youngest daughter's graduating with her undergraduate from Texas A&M. So second generation Aggie, I'm definitely happy about that. And I'll be up there next week. So yeah, God is good, brother.
God is great. What a great blessing, Richmond. Talking to Richmond Webb here on TexAgs Radio. What was it about you in your career that you were able to last so long? You played a lot in college. You played a lot in the NFL. How did you keep yourself so healthy and in such a long career?
I think part of it was I was just truly blessed and fortunate that I came out of a really good college program. At the time, Coach Sherrill started off and, had great coaches. Coach Slocum was the defensive coordinator, and actually I was on defense at first, and then Coach Cass Register was my coach, and then I switched to offense, and then I had Joe Avazano as my line coach, and then Mike Sherman my last year. Coach Slocum became the head coach, and then, being tutelage under Don Shula, John Sandusky, he was one of the best offensive line coaches, which I know tremendously helped me because when I was at Texas A&M, we were mainly option quarterback. So going from Bucky Richardson, that was just, running the ball. We threw it a little bit. Nothing like what happened when I went to Miami with Dan Marino. And, a funny story, I got drafted by the Dolphins, and I think I got a call or whatever from Coach Sherrill say, make sure you take care of Danny. So I actually got to meet Dan Marino and Hugh Green, which played for Coach Sherrill at University of Pittsburgh. So I was just intertwined all kind of ways and this and that. And they looked out for me, but just great coaches, great strength coaches, and just being fortunate and just working hard. But I just slipped through the cracks. You can do all that and still get injured, but I was just fortunate, man. So I just thank God for the opportunity and having great teammates and the guys I played with. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Richmond, you mentioned Dan Marino there. Here's a thought that I've always had, and I probably shouldn't verbalize it, but I'm going to verbalize it. How come he's always looked 35? When he played, he looked 35. He still looks 35. That dude does not age.
He doesn't age at all. Only way I could tell he aged is not in his face, but I think it's Dan, it's Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, and was it Randy Moss in the Lay's commercial or whatever? That was one of the funniest commercials I seen. I think even Tom Brady makes an appearance, but I could tell his legs are a lot smaller than when we played and stuff like that. But funny commercial, and with him with the eyeglass readers on in the commercial, that was fun. They did good. They knocked that one out the park. So, but you're right. He doesn't age. He still looks the same. And actually, last year we were on a Dolphin cruise with the fans, and I saw him, got to spend some time with him. So, yeah, he hadn't changed. He still think he can go out there and throw it and this and that. But we know we're older, but we still get to tell those stories like we can still do it. So that's when the fun kicks in.
I know I asked you this a couple of years ago, but I'm going to ask it again, just the way football is moving, right? What would Dan Marino do in today's college football world with these open offenses and that amazing arm of his?
Well, not what he would do, but who could afford the NIL money that's going to be demanded for a guy like that, Man, it could be crazy. Some of the guys, play with. I even think back, even with like Johnny Manziel, when he played at A&M, when he went on that Heisman run, he put A&M, on a national, just all over. Everybody that really didn't follow A&M started following A&M because of, Johnny and the science. But he had one of the most incredible college careers that anybody. So when you get on that level, Dan Marino, that Barry Sanders, it could be crazy. But yeah, he would love it because now they throw. I think he would want back then when he was at Pitt, they threw the football, but most people wasn't throwing the football like that. Most people were running because he talks about when they played Georgia and they had Herschel Walker, and most people was just downhill, just physical, where he was dropping back, slanging it back then. So. Yeah, he as long as he could throw the football, he would be happy.
Richmond, let's talk about this current A&M football team and Mike Elko and what his imprint is coming. We're feeling it. What are your thoughts?
I felt it. I hadn't had an opportunity to meet him, but all I've heard is good things about Coach Elko. But I think he came in and established order from the time he got here. We lost some guys and this and that, but he wanted to know who's going to be committed, who's coming in here. And a lot of people were concerned, but I think he went out and addressed a lot of needs that we had using the portal, which is a good thing. So I don't think it's going to be a huge drop off. We signed some good quality young men coming out of high school, this and that. So you got a mix of, younger guys, and then you got guys with experience that it's not a huge drop off where you got to develop everyone. And so I love what he's done so far. I didn't make the spring game because I was in Waco for Coach Sherrill's induction into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. But I've still been watching, keeping up with those guys. But I definitely got to get up there and meet him. But I'm highly impressed, and I think we're in good hands. So I'm looking forward to the football season.
Richmond, let's talk about the offensive line, which has been a problem for A&M the last few years, and they've recruited some talent, but it's been an issue. How difficult was it to watch as a former player and as a guy who wants A&M football to be at the very best, and how they've struggled?
Yeah, I think the last couple of years, I think the tough part, like you said, is watching. But I think when you have guys that have the caliber to play better, it was always seemed like it was 2 or 3 games that really could have shifted the outcome of the whole season. And rather than winning those games, we would end up losing them by a touchdown or whatever. And it just, it puts a bad taste in your mouth. But I think when you know that we have the guys that can win those games, we just wasn't able to get it done. I think that's what was kind of frustrating. But there's a new sheriff in town, and I think everybody's happy. I think everybody's looking forward. And I've even been, the buzz is going again about the Texas and Texas A&M game, and we play right after Thanksgiving this year. So I think it's going to be some really good times for A&M football again. And I think fans are going to be much happier this year than they have the last couple of years, because I think a lot of people felt we kind of underperformed, or we didn't get to where we really should have. So I think people will be a lot happier this year.
If they're able to keep Connor clean, what kind of year do you think he can have?
That kid's got an arm, and the good thing is that the 2 guys we got backing him up, they can play as well. So it's a rarity in college football, or even in pro football, when you have guys of that caliber. I remember I was at the TexAgs Bowl here in Houston in December and watched the Aggies play. And I think it was Henderson got hurt, and the young man, the true freshman, came in. And I know how it works, because most of the time the starter's going to get the majority of the reps. But for him to come in and perform and make plays the way he did, I was like, man, we're in really good shape. We got a really good nucleus of quarterbacks. The thing is when everybody else finds out you got that, a lot of time they try to recruit the guys that's, sitting behind those guys to, help their program, this and that. So that's why you typically lose guys. But to be able to maintain and keep all 3 of those guys, I think we in really good shape. But I think Connor, with the offense from the offensive coordinator from Kansas State, they really put up points and stuff like that. So he could possibly be in the Heisman race. He just got to stay healthy. That's what slowed him down last year. But he's shown that he can perform in big games and stuff like that. So he could be a candidate for the Heisman. So I'm looking forward to it.
Richmond, thank you for always being so gracious and accommodating. Love talking to you. Can't wait to connect with you here in College Station soon, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you for having me. Have a good day, sir.
You too. Richmond Webb there on the hotline, bringing it, as he always does. We'll hit a break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little men's tennis here with Steve Denton. And then after that, the fan show. Royce Hickman in the house. Roy May in the house. It'll be a good one. Right now, we're talking about Heritage Films, Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films. It'll be a good one. I mean, Richmond Webb's probably got several documentaries done about him, but you don't have to be a future Hall of Famer to get a documentary done about you. You can just be a regular Joe, a regular guy, a regular mom, regular dad that does it for your family, right, to keep that family name. That's what Chance does with Heritage Films. He does these documentary films about families and family businesses. If you haven't thought about it, like for a moment, think about what that would be like having this documentary done about your dad, watching it with your dad, watching it with your mom, watching it with your kids, and sharing that moment together. And honestly, you shouldn't wait. We are not promised tomorrow. And like some of you probably be like, I'll get to that at some point. No. Think about it for Father's Day. Think about it for this summer. It'd be a great thing to do for the family, so you no longer have to play the game of telephone. You've got the story from the source right there. Family business, family ranch, you name it. Chance also does the Year Flicks, which is a 20-minute Q&A video reserved for the younger kids in the family. It can be, middle school. It can be high school. It can be college. You can be your freshman year at A&M, and then when you get your Aggie ring your junior year, you can do a follow-up there when they graduate and when they get married. It's cool. 20-minute Q&A, fun. I think you'll love it there with the Year Flicks. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. All right, welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little Aggies tennis. They earned their 30th straight NCAA postseason bid. We got Steve Denton here in studio to talk all about it, hosting the regionals for the 9th time in 11 years. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us come in and talk a little tennis.
Well, you all are hosting Rice Friday at 1 p.m., but there's a game before that, right?
That's right. Baylor, who's always a really tough team, is playing San Diego, who is the higher seed, won the Western Conference, beat Pepperdine in their final match, and have had a great season this year. They've beaten Stanford and some other really good teams, USC. So they're a real formidable opponent as well as Baylor. But, you know, for us, not looking ahead is really important for us to kind of be ready to play against Rice, who's going to come in here and give us everything they've got.
What was it like heading into the selection show, just considering the way the season, because you guys started so hot and then there was a little bit of a lull at the end of the season, and knowing that it resets now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's never nice to be able to have it in somebody else's hands. Right. We had to have several things happen for us. One of them actually was San Diego. Another was Arizona beating Stanford. And those kind of matches, you know, you put it in somebody else's hands, and it makes it difficult. But because like you said, we had a good beginning of the season, and we played some really good matches against some really good teams that we were able to slip in there in some head-to-head situations, and the NCAA awarded us the 15 seed, allowing us to host.
How much does it help, or does it help at all, that you all have been there before, done it, and you've won 16 straight first-round matchups?
Well, I think this is a new team, obviously, and they don't know those things. We do. But more importantly, I think it's just the fact that we've been really good at home for a long, long time, and the 12th man really helps us. I think the guys are comfortable on our courts, and there's a certain comfort level for our guys in those conditions, and so that gives us an advantage, and we'll see if we can take advantage of it.
Well, and then some of the struggles that you had were on the road this year, correct?
Yeah, they were all on the road. Yeah, we actually lost one match, and you know there were some circumstances to it where one of our better players didn't play in that match, and we ended up not winning. But I think that overall, we've had a great record here at home. We're tough to beat here, and you know, I think somebody that beats us is going to have to play really, really well.
It's one thing to play at home and do well, but another thing to have them here, the 12th man, for the postseason. That makes a big difference.
It does, especially, you know, in past years, our graduation has been this week, so there's not maybe been as big a crowds because of many things going on. But this weekend, you know, with the men and women's tennis both in town, we're kind of not much going on, and there's the potential of, you know, really big crowds to come out and watch us play and see some great tennis.
We were talking earlier about the weather and how it's kind of altered your schedule the last 24, 48 hours. Just talk a little bit about that, of having to kind of change your times, wait it out, start early, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is a bit unsettling for the guys and their sleep pattern and their training pattern, because yesterday we practiced at 8 o'clock in the morning thinking that it was going to rain the majority of the day, which it didn't. And then today we were supposed to practice at 10, and we're probably not going to get on the courts till later this afternoon, and having to still play at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but most of the preparation has been done. You know, it's just kind of a little bit of fine tuning with a couple of guys this afternoon to kind of get them ready. And it's more mental now than it is anything else. And hopefully, you know, being at home will make the guys at ease and have them play at a high level.
Steve, talk a little bit about Raphael and how he's been playing.
Yeah, he's had a great season. You know, really proud of this kid. He came to us playing 6 and 7 his first year in our 20 team, where we lost in the quarterfinals. And he's made his way up to the top of the lineup. He's a tremendously hard worker, very professional. You know, he's just a kind of kid that gives everything that he has every single point, and really fun to watch as a result. Really fast around the court. Not a overpowering type of player, but a type of player that makes you work really hard to beat him. And so he's been our rock this year. And if we can have a couple good more matches this weekend, one of the things I did not want to happen is in his senior day, we ended up losing that match, and I didn't want that to be his last experience on these courts. So for us to get another opportunity, it's a real blessing, I think, for him and the team to be able to go out there and play one more time in front of the 12th man at Mitchell Tennis Center.
I love that. How about J.C. Roddick?
Yeah, he's been a real surprise this year. You know, last year he was injured, didn't play much, and he's won a lot of big matches for us. He beat Ohio State. He beat Tennessee. He's beaten South Carolina a time or two. Some of the big wins that we've had this year. He's beaten some really good players. He's played at a high level, and we're excited to see him out there again. He's got a big serve, and he's very athletic and comes from a very famous family.
Yeah,
so, you know, we're excited to have him out there and compete for us, and I know he wants to get rolling in the NCAA tournament.
I saw your presser last week, I think it was, where you said, you know, the plan is to recognize the moment, match the energy, match the play. Just talk about the messaging this week.
Yeah, I think, you know, the season starts over for us, and we've had a lot of good and bad experiences this year that we need to glean from so that we can play our best tennis. And the guys should feel confident and excited about the opportunity of getting another chance to play. In sports, many times you don't get a second chance. And in this particular situation, we do. And our guys need to take advantage of that this weekend.
Steve, I appreciate your time. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right. Thank you, David.
When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk a little fan show, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Roy Sickman's going to be here. Roy May's going to be here. It's going to be chaos here in the studio. Right now, we'll talk Aggieland Express in celebration of their new location. Aggieland Express wants to invite you to get a car wash for a cause. All this week through tomorrow, May 3rd, 100% of every car wash sale at the new location will be donated to the Salvation Army's Community Food Pantry in Bryan College Station. Only at Aggieland Express Car Wash at 2528 Texas Avenue South in College Station, across from Planet Fitness. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for the Fun Show.
Hey, you're getting better, though.
Yeah. Brought to you by Gerard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. They don't just build homes, they build relationships. Learn more at gerard-construction.com. We got the 2 R's here. Royce Hickman, hello, sir.
How are you? I'm good.
I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
Always good when I see you.
Yes, sir. It's great to see you. Roy May, hello, sir.
What's going on?
Watch the Little Champions League this week?
Yeah, I'll watch all of it.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah, I do. So let's start things off. Eric, do you know what to ask him to start off the fan show? You're never here on a Wednesday. Do you know? Or excuse me.
Yeah, I'm never here on Thursdays.
So just ask them what's on their mind.
Yeah, what's on your mind? We got NFL draft. We got the baseball team.
NFL draft is last. Come on.
Number one. We got Luke. Y'all see Luka Doncic last night?
Okay.
I don't watch TV.
I think he forgot. This is a TexAgs fan show.
Well, and I don't. I used to put a ton of stock into watching the draft and really pay attention to it. Now I'm just kind of like, I'll watch it if there's nothing else on. I pay attention to who the Cowboys pick, but I'm not a talent evaluator. All I know is generally Jerry Jones gets it wrong. So Texans had a hell of a draft.
Edge Cooper, one of the Packers. That was good to see.
Yeah, all the Aggies went to teams I hate. So I was thrilled about that.
So you get to root for players, not teams. Hope
that's the only way you can handle it.
Royce, what's on your mind this morning?
Well, I have several things on my mind. First of all, thanks to another broken egg, I was their guest at Coach's Night.
Okay.
Coach G was at our table, and I'm continually amazed at what Mike Elko's doing. I know it has to come out on the field, and I'm not getting overexcited, but to me, he's doing and saying the right things, and to me, appears to be totally invested in this, and that can't help but produce good results. And the other thing on my mind is spring sports in general. I'm not sure, and I've been around a while, that I remember a spring where so many teams were doing so good.
We got a few teams that can win a national championship this year, this semester.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have multiple.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Multiple. Well, and I officiate track and field, and there's some incredible athletes. Coach Henry, and right one round the corner here. But they have done an incredible job this year, and I've high hopes for them. There's some real possibilities for them, and obviously the baseball team. When I was on the show some time ago, I said, I'm not sure I've seen a team like this since 1989, and I'm still going to say that.
Yeah. Roy?
I'd be lying if I didn't say it's just baseball and softball.
Yeah.
Because of their success. But it's great to see both tennis programs, both golf programs. Like you said, just everything's going so well, and you legitimately have national title hopes in both sports. But man, what's going on the Diamonds is just absolutely incredible. And I was talking about this earlier this week. Having this bye super late in the season for softball, I love it. And it's the one, are they going to get out of their groove because they took a week off kind of thing? But it's right before really the big surge, because for them, this series on the road at Florida is huge. They're right around 12 or 13 in the RPI. I can't remember which it is. But you go win this series, maybe even sweep, and I know that's a lot. And whether it's baseball or softball in the SEC, asking for a road sweep is insane, right? Really asking for a sweep even at home is sometimes asking a little bit much. But if they can go win this series in Florida and make some serious noise in the SEC tournament, and I don't know if they'd have to win it or at least get to the championship game, but hosting a being a national seed, I think is still on the table. You might need a little help from some people above you, but it's still absolutely on the table. And it's littered with nothing but SEC and Big 12, because that's where the softball powers really are. But so I'm just super excited, and the baseball team, I think they're going to go down as better than the 89 team.
They certainly have that possibility. I tell you, can you imagine at the end of the first inning the other day, you're down 9-0, and you're thinking run rule, but you were thinking it the other way. We would be run ruling them. 19 unanswered run. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Well, I was actually out showing a house, and I got in my truck, and it was like 135, 140 or something like that. And I got in my truck, and I flip on the game, and it says, and they're saying we're at the bottom of the first. I was like, oh crap. That's my first thought is, man, it's been 45 minutes. And I got into it. I got in when there was like 9-2, right around there. And it's just so weird though. Even down a touchdown, you're still thinking it's early.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
With this
what they
team.
do, right? And,
Right.
And in my mind, I was absolutely worried when it was 9-0. Like, man, this may be one of those games you don't go to the bullpen. You just let this guy string it out, right?
Exactly what I was thinking. You just get out of this game and win the next one.
But then I'm like, you know what? They might be able to score 2 or 3 in the first inning, and then now it's just a hole, and then they get to 4, and I'm like, okay, well this is man. Oh, then they get to 5, then they get to 8, then like, oh, we're gonna win this thing.
Well, and the decision that decision, you're like, you're just going to let the pitcher ride, save the bullpen for the second game. The offense didn't give the coach the chance to make that decision.
Right.
I mean, you're not making that decision generally in the bottom of the first, anyways, no matter what. Right. And so I was absolutely floored by it. I've never seen anything like that. I bet you can look it up in the history books. You'll never find anybody down 9 to go on and run rule a team. Guaranteed. It's insane.
Royce, one of the things that I think is interesting about this team is they can beat you different ways. They can mash. Right. They can pitch. They can defend. You look at the game Friday night a week ago, 6 days ago, and that was a bunch of home runs, but a low-scoring game for the amount of home runs.
All but one of them solo home runs.
Right.
And every run scored that night was off a home run. And that's another thing. I'm not sure I've seen a lot of it. But, and even one of the things I was thinking about is they can beat you that way or they can blow you out. But on the flip side, most of their losses have been really close, that they had.
They got a chance in the 9th inning, all these games.
Yeah, right.
All of them. Every single one.
Yeah.
So watch this. This is going to be fun. I'm sure you got an opinion on the Georgia pitcher because I know you.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to bring that up anyway.
Well, all right. And Coach mentioned this on the show earlier in the week. Being on second base and trying to steal signs from the catcher is just kind of part of baseball. Like, if you look back all the way through the history of baseball, cheating is just kind of part of baseball. But there's levels of cheating, if we're going to say that. Like, there's no degree of sin, but there's
acceptable level
there
of
is.
cheating.
Like, so being on second, trying to tip your hitter or whatever you're going to do, that's just kind of always been gamesmanship. Doctoring a ball is the next step up. To me, and I said this earlier this week on my podcast, it's just like corking a bat. Now you're messing with equipment. And so that changes things. And that on top of the whole coming out of the live feed stuff, coming out of the dugout, kind of both coming out at the same time. I hate that because it's kind of it's a black mark on the conference a little bit to show that we've just got some cheaters and we're getting caught.
Right.
Obviously, we've been through y'all talked about all the physics of it. The ball doesn't rise, but it just doesn't drop like it does. If you look at the at bats and where they were missing, it's just obvious. What does the SEC do about it? It was cheating, but you can't go back and take the game away.
You really can't prove it was cheating either.
It's way too late to cheat. You're way too late to prove it.
Right.
Yeah, for this guy, apparently, it's never too late to cheat. And I thought it was great. Tim England on Twitter, he showed like 4 other clips, different games of him pitching against different opponents. Same thing. So it's just kind of, it's my question is what the conference is going to do about it. And if they have to go to the MLB way of checking pitchers' gloves every inning, then so be it.
And maybe what they have to do, Royce.
Yeah. I just don't know that they'll do anything about it.
They can't.
That's what discourages me. That I went to 2 of those games, and at one stage the Georgia coach has to get warned by the umpire because they're mouthing and everything else. I just really wasn't impressed overall with their sportsmanship and they've got some talented players, but even to try to deny what is video evidence of, it doesn't surprise me with them.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll tell you one thing, though, and it involves that pitcher, but the last 2 weekends, right, we've dropped the 3rd game. So, they didn't get swept. And both times, it really shows you how special we are. Georgia, they were like 2 steps from a dog pile because they salvaged a win.
Right.
Alabama, the pitcher wins, and he just stands there and poses like, don't get me wrong, that was one of the most fantastic relief outings I've seen in a long time from anybody. But congratulations, you didn't get swept.
Right.
So it just shows you where this team is, that the celebration level is that high because you managed to not get your doors blown off all 3 games.
Right. Well, let's talk about this LSU series because I find it interesting in multiple reasons. You got a team that won the national championship. Yes, they're different, but they got a lot of talent. You got a team that is hard to play there no matter what their record is, right? And you got a team that is desperate for their postseason lives. Right. Sure, I think Richard was talking about earlier that they're going to play in the SEC tournament, but anything beyond that is no guarantee, and they could be written out of the story real quick. Yep. Royce?
Well, no, I think it's a very important series for us, but anybody thinks we're going to go over there and kick their tail without a fight anyway. And, they'll see this as a big opportunity. If they can win at least 2 games against the number 1 team in the nation, that'll elevate them. And they're the kind of team that has not performed up to their capabilities yet, and that's what's concerned me. I'd rather have played them earlier in the year.
The box and Death Valley, right? It's hard to play in the Red Stick. But that being said, I'm sure they'll put up a fight, and I think we're going to go in there. We're going to win too, and I hope we sweep them and completely stomp on their postseason because it's LSU and I hate them.
Do you think because this team is so good, people are enjoying it or stressing?
Like fans?
Yeah.
Well, Aggies are always going to stress.
But this feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of enjoyment. And you go out to the stadium, the fans are enjoying the experience, and they've been drawing extremely well. It's unfortunate the stadium isn't bigger because there'd been a lot more people at some of these games.
Crowd's been great, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Nobody gets down on it. If the Aggies go down, they're like, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I know we have the power to mash back, and we have the team that we can hold them. So it's a ton of excitement for me. I am just absolutely loving the ride.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. Some basketball, some football, and the future of college athletics. We'll do that when we come back here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, a moment for Rollo Insurance. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They are an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all your insurance goals. And here's the facts. They are here in College Station. Sure, they're a brand. They're all over the place, but they are here in College Station. You can find Jason and Jackson and the whole crew out there, Keith, Morgan, you name it. They're all around town. You see them at the big events. They're diehard Aggies. They are here to take care of you. You can call them. You can touch. They're right across the street, right down the road out there. They've got 53 offices in the state of Texas. But again, their headquarters is on Highway 6 in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. Again, that number is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. We're back here on the Fan Show, presented by Girard Construction, here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Time to end the day with Double Dave's, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They have been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Royce and Roy, let's talk a little bit about the future of college athletics. So there's reports out that, revenue share is coming, and it could be sooner than we think. Hopefully some guardrails come after the antitrust laws come in, and bowl game opt-outs could be limited with the way they put the framework in. Is it, I don't want to say too little too late, but are you going to be okay with that direction considering the Wild West we've had recently, Royce?
Well, I think any kind of bringing it under any kind of order is better than what we're dealing with now. And, Coach G spoke at the coaches' night the other night and talked about, let's not forget this is an academic institution and we are here to educate these people. And the focus has been so much on basically you're now a pro, and and I do agree with him. That's a dangerous line that we're stepping across there. But I would like anything that would keep players from opting out of the bowl games.
I still think if you're a first-round pick, you're probably going to opt out unless the game matters, but maybe it'll limit some of the others. Boy.
This is just yet again, trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Right.
And so I don't know that it's going to make it better or worse, quite frankly. I don't know what's going to happen. Personally, I think schools are going to start dropping sports. And I think you're going to see a lot more club sports, and I think it's going to be detrimental to that. But the reality is, and whether anybody wants to say it or not, this is driven by the big three men's sports because of what they can make at a professional level. I mean, we all saw it with Caitlin Clark. They basically put out what she's making, and she was the number one pick, and what the WNBA pays. So there's more incentive, for the junior sports, so to speak, right? That don't really have a true professional circuit. There's more incentive for them to stay here, but there's less incentive for the schools to keep those sports. So it's kind of a dangerous thing you're getting into, because now you're really going to start bringing up some Title IX stuff. And so, I mean, you can't make Title IX go away with this. So I think it's going to get really messy, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Is the only way to make it work is break away football completely?
I mean, it might have to be, honestly, to make it work. But then again, if you break it out, you have to break it off in such a manner. We need Hunter Shurtleff in here to explain the legalities,
the legal
of this,
ramifications,
to where they're no longer student athletes, so they don't fall under Title IX. So what they're making doesn't force the hand of universities on the other sports. So I just don't know.
To me, this is another example of how inept the NCAA is. They let this thing.
They're worthless.
Yeah, well, they really are. Yeah. I mean, they basically have become ineffective more than they were before, which
it's impressive, really.
Yeah. Well, but honestly, they did not get control of things they should have got control of years ago, and we're paying a price for it now.
Yeah, guys, we're in the talking season of after the spring game where people are all optimistic. How optimistic can you be based on what you've read when it comes to Aggie football? How optimistic do you think you can really be?
Yeah.
What's realistic optimism?
Yeah, I think I'm optimistic because Mike Elko sold me that he's come in here, and one thing that's kind of neat is he was here not too long ago, so he knows what some of the problems were, and he went about fixing the problems. He's brought accountability back. There's so many things that I like about that. And it is a team sport, and a team can beat a more talented team if they're playing better as a team. And I believe he will have players that are playing as a team.
What is realistic optimism?
You lost me with realistic. I'm optimistic just because I always am. I liked Elko when he was here. I like what he did at Duke. That whole worst case, best case at UNOB we're talking about. I'm same with OB. I don't believe there's a best case ceiling. But I'd love to see 9-10 wins this year, maybe 11 with a bowl. And I think that's realistic because we know the talent that we have. Despite all the doom and gloom from the media, we still have a ton of talent across the street, and he has supplemented that with the portal. So I'm excited.
I am too, but I've come to this point with my Aggie sports. Show me.
You got to show me. Yeah. I'll be excited by about hopefully the third quarter of the Notre Dame game. And that's where you can find probably my prediction for the year. But again, I've got the same level of excitement for football as I do for basketball. I love what Buzz is doing in the portal.
Gentlemen, thank you. Great job.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, it's always good to be with you. We appreciate the opportunity.
I love when you come in. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
All right.
Good to be with you.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Thursday. Tomorrow on the program, the baseball bunch. Richard Zane on a mobile. It'll be the real Richard Zane, but he'll be on the phone. Scott Clendenin, Ryan Browninger. Of course, we'll have Billy Lucci and Olin Buchanan. That's going to do it. We'll see you mañana.